Hello, my biddies. How are you today? I am doing well. A little bit more. Sorry for the late start. I don't know what I'm doing anymore, of course. Say hi in the chat. Um, we have quizzes today, so you'll want to stick around and participate. It'll be fun, they said. Will it? I don't know. Maybe. Um, so uh, I hope you guys are doing well today. I'm not. I had a allergy attack at 2 o'clock this morning. So I was up for at least an hour coughing. uh, it's that time of the year. Very normal for me. I hope you guys got better sleep. I'm really tired right now. Really, really tired right now. Um, what else we got? Oh, um, I've been having unusual things happen. I was wondering what was going on because I had not eaten any black frosting that I knew of. And that's when this unusual thing usually happens. Let's just say uh, the solids from the evacuation system were green. Okay. And then this morning, my husband mentions that we have Oreo cookies in the house. The color changing Oreos, we got them for $2. And I thought the kids would like them, which they did. I mean, they do. But $2 for Oreos? Yes, please. I don't care what they are. I don't care what they are. I'll buy $2 Oreos all day long, every day. Um, so yeah, it's like, oh, that's it. So watched your Oreo ticket. I haven't even eaten that many. I think I had two on Monday and one yesterday, and that's all I've eaten. It is noticeable. It is not normal, shall we say? Yeah, that's how I'm going to start this off, talking about that. So how's your day going? Oh, overslept, of course, because I was up for an hour during the night, hour and a half. I don't even remember. I went to sleep at a decent time too. It was really annoying. I'm like, oh, it's going to get really good sleep, and then I did not. What are you going to do? I will, however, have a reality roundup today. Probably won't tomorrow because I still have to do grocery shopping. I got way too late to even attempt grocery shopping this morning, but I wasn't going to anyway because I set this for a half an hour early. Remember? So we're here half an hour early. So, this is Seven Little Johnston, season 17, episode 6, main character at the bachelorette party. It was not a bachelorette party. Just saying. So we start in the Johnston kitchen, and Jonah has come across the interwebs, come across a game on the interwebs that includes hot sauces. So he's air frying up some chicken nuggets and has about 10 different bottles of unidentifiable hot sauces lined up on the counter from least hot to most hot. And he's going to ask questions while the rest of the family has to answer any of the hot sauces, which I don't understand. How is this a game? This is just dumb. Just eat the hot sauces. So anyway, Trent already has a bottle of pink stuff in his hand, which I assume is Pepto Bismol. And it occurs to me that I have not once bought a bottle of Pepto Bismol as an adult. I wasn't even sure it was still a thing. Is that still a thing? Or is that from like 20 years ago? I've never bought a bottle of Pepto Bismol. I don't know why. I mean, I had it all the time as a kid. Every time I got sick, it was Pepto Bismol. And I don't mind the taste of it. Some people don't like it, I know, but I don't mind it. I kind of liked it actually. It was fine for me. So I don't know. Can you still buy that at Walmart? Not going there today. So the number one uh, hot sauce Jonah claims is pond water. And the question is, what's a harmless lie, white lie you tell too often, way too often? And I thought they were going to ask everybody the same question. They asked everybody a different question at random. It was dumb. So Trent's question answers is so that was it turned out to be Trent's question, and he says, "Yeah, that looks good," and he also thinks the sauce is bad. Amber's question was, "Did you ever walk into a glass door or wall?" And uh, the first question was good. This is dumb. Like, unless you're specifically asking someone for a story, that's a dumb question. Because yeah, it happens sometimes, but not normally. And why are we getting different questions? Everyone should have to answer the same question if we're asking questions, right? Am I right? Am I wrong? Maybe I'm too judgy. I don't know. She says she hasn't, and she chokes on the hot sauce, not because it's hot, but because it's bad. Jonas, in a Jonas talking head, he says he hopes they sweat from the questions or the hot sauce. Emma's question was, "Have you ever peed your pants a little?" And she says, "Yeah." I mean, maybe it's a girl thing, but that's not uncommon at all. Liz is backing her up, but like, yeah, that happens. And Alex makes a joke about wearing depends. Like, it doesn't happen that often, Alex. It's not incontinence. It's just sometimes you gotta go really bad and you stand up and it's like, oh, I gotta go to the bathroom really bad. Really bad. Sometimes you know beforehand. Sometimes you don't even know beforehand. Amber is already dipping into the Pepto right after the first. That's why she said one. I'd do better, and I'm a wussy wuss when it comes to hot sauce. Like, I might get to three, maybe. Is like a 10 to me most of the time. Liz is asked, has she ever kept a secret from the family? And we all know that's true. And she immediately answers that she kept her pregnancy a secret, which she did for a long time. Alex is asked who he doesn't call back, and he says Trent because he always answers Trent's call. Jonah says his is also Trent, but it's because he doesn't hang up. Amber says it Nana because she's a talker. Apparently, Nana was you'd get on the phone with her, and she's one of those that you're on there for half an hour to an hour, easy, every time. Brett says Liz because or Brett, yeah, Bryce. Bryce says Liz. Why does it say Brett? Brett is Bryce's brother. Bryce says Liz because she yells at him. Liz agrees because he often forgets things like taking out the trash. And I don't know why she can't do that herself when he forgets, but apparently she can't, and it has to wait for a whole week. If we have to wait for a whole week, it's because both of us forgot. That reminds me, I got to take the trash out today. Usually that's my job, especially in the summer. If it's snowing, I make my husband. So now we're about halfway through the sauces, and Amber complains that she feels like she cut her lip, and Jonah and Alex say that's normal, and Trenton mocks them. Yeah, that's normal. Amber gets a question. Have you ever sent a rescue text to the wrong person? And Amber admits that she sent a text intended for Trent to her dad. And Trent says it was a very romantic text, but I think he means dirt. By romantic, he means dirty. Trent tapped out at sauce number 7, which I mean, it's farther than I would have probably got, so I can't judge. Amber does sauce 8 and was asked uh, who thinks they're funny but really isn't, and she says Trent, and he says, but you laugh, and he's not wrong. She laughs at every one of his dumb jokes, every one of them. She will giggle. It's ridiculous. She taps out. Liz and Emma agree to answer the same question, eat at the same time, and Liz is out at 8. Jonah assures them that it will get better in 20 minutes. Emma does 9 and says her tongue hurts, but she does go all 10. So go, Emma. Liz says she's going to try 10, but Bryce arrives, so she gives it to him instead, which is mean. It's just mean because that was really, really hot. Liz is having her bachelorette party at her house. Who does that? Well, I mean, you can do that, but it's in the morning and it's a PJ and Prosecco brunch. Like this is not a bachelorette party. This is a bridal shower. Lame, so lame. Emma complains that it's a bachelorette party and there are not male parts on display. She wants, peens. Uh, Liz wants to keep it classy. That's bridal shower. Emma says there are no dirty or inappropriate things or strippers at the party, but they have an idea. So everybody gets to spell Prosecco, and Jonah can spell it, but his parents cannot. Actually, I think Trent was well on his way, but Amber messed him up because he can't go against what Amber says. And she starts out PRE. Pre, not pro. And that messes him up. So now he thinks it's PRE and it's not. So then we go to Liz and Bryce, and they're trying to find a camouflage garter since she canceled his camo vest. So he's going to have to get it custom made. And this leads to a discussion about the first dance somehow. And Trent says Liz is not graceful. He says she's artistic, but she is not graceful. And Amber says something about she cakes after you. And he says, yeah, I can't dance. I'm not graceful either. And Bryce doesn't dance, so he's up for the class. Bryce does choose a garter, a camo garter that matched his vest. So the chickens arrive, and they're naming them, and I can't remember what they named them. They bring Leighton out to meet them, and she's not that into it and calls them ducks. They try to get her to call them chickens. Kids that age don't call them chickens. They call them bok-boks. They're bok-boks at that age. Just ask my 2 grandsons. They know. Trent handles a chicken into a fit by catching one. He does it very wrongly. He complains that the run's too small, and he's probably not wrong. He did a little bit of research on it, and it seems like the coop is bare minimum for the 4 chickens they have. Although Silkies are a little smaller, but still, it was tiny. It was like 80 inches by 26 inches. That's tiny. So then we go back to Liz hosting her own weird ass morning hen party. And it's weird because the moms are also there, which also indicates bridal shower, not bachelorette party. And why is she hosting her own bachelorette party? Aren't other people supposed to do that for you? I get the moms, maybe stopping by, maybe even staying for a meal, if they're having a meal. But this is supposed to be like a young woman's to do. And this, again, not a bachelorette party, it's a bridal shower. All the things they're doing are bridal shower things. Amber says they have a surprise for her. Everyone is bringing a panty gift. Yeah, you heard that right, not pantry. And Liz is supposed to guess who brought them. This is apparently classy. Emma got her edible gummy panties. I love Go Emma. They're like this big, I swear. And Amber, they passed them around because nobody was going to use them. I think they broke it as soon as she picked them up. Amber had them and seemed shocked that they were sugary. Like, what do you think gummies are, Amber? Like, do you want to eat non-sugary gummies? Liz throws them away right away, and Bryce is disappointed that he never even saw them. Bryce and Jonah, in the meantime, are working on his signature drink. Jonah's making the drink, and Trent is sampling the drinks, although he's a staunch bourbon guy, apparently. And Bryce is getting wasted because he does not waste things. Good for him. Uh, Liz says he doesn't even waste clothes. Like, why would you waste clothes, Liz? That's weird. Good on Bryce. I like Bryce. Bryce doesn't waste things. Things should not be wasted. So back at the hen party, back at the bridal shower, a cop arrives to arrest Liz for stealing Bryce's heart. He's not a stripper, but he did bring handcuffs and they do not fit her. He cannot get her hands handcuffed together. He does a weird dance and then he sings horribly. Like it's so bad. Um, it was a song about Bryce and Liz, which obviously, people fed him information and he made up a song. It's not a great song. It's not the worst, but it's not great. The singing, not good. Carol and Darcy don't believe he was a bad singer. Trust me, he was. Bryce's mom thinks that the stripper knows Bryce because clearly no one, had contact with the stripper before he showed up. I think I see where Bryce gets his brains. Unless she was joking, and if she was joking, it did not go over well. Bryce chooses the missing canoe old fashioned for his signature drink. It was the very first one that Jonah made. And he is 3 sheets to the wind, you can tell. Yes. He says, I'm buzzing. No, honey, you're tripping. You're beyond buzzing. You probably get in a car. But he thinks if he thinks that's buzzing after having 10 drinks in a very short amount of time. Like he was as Jonah was making them as he was drinking, like really fast. So Jonah couldn't make the drinks fast enough to keep up with Bryce. Like he's going to get a DUI if he thinks that that's just buzzing. That's what I'm worried about. I hope that doesn't happen. I would feel terrible if that happened, but it wouldn't surprise me if it happened. So apparently Jonah is a wedding guy and he's been to lots of weddings. So Bryce asks his advice for the garter toss. Jonah says as long as you're funny, you're good. And then he suggests that the garter get attached to a fishing rod and is cast into the crowd. And that does seem very Bryce. Jonah's actually good at this. Maybe Jonah should be the wedding coordinator. But he does not want the garter tossed at him. Ashley could do better. Ashley, girl, go find somebody worthy of you. And yesterday I could not remember her name for nothing. There's too many A names in this family. And then you have Emma too. So back at the PJ party, they are playing porn or polish. This is a game where you have to guess nail polish or adult film from the name you're given. Jonah, Alex, Brent, and Trent are playing along from the couch. So this is where I would like an audience because, you guys could guess, but you're not here and I need you. Somebody on Board Panda today was saying that somebody, instead of being mean to people, should be providing spaces for people. I'm trying. I'm here trying. Where are you? So here we go. This could be way more fun, but it's not going to be. Below the belt is polish. Topless and barefoot is polish. Playing with fire is a movie. Everyone guessed polish. White chocolate is a movie. Cherry pop is polish. Trent was very disturbed by that one. Soft and wet, I knew right away was polish. Meatballs is polish. Jonah thinks correctly that meatballs would be a terrible color, and he is not wrong at all. The producer explains that it's meat, MEET balls, and he says that's still polish. Right there with you. Because that does not sound like a nail polish to me. Everyone liked the party, but she needs a bachelorette party. This is a bridal shower. She had a bridal shower. She threw herself a bridal shower. I didn't see anybody else throwing her a bridal shower, to be honest. Next, we have Liz and Bryce at dance class, and they're both needing a lot of extra attention in class. Let's just say that. Uh, Liz thinks Bryce wasn't paying enough attention to her. The instructor said that they were terrible, to be honest, terrible. Part of it was Liz wasn't following directions at all, like, at all. Liz is kind of standing me. So the way they have them start the dance is that the guys in front and the girls in the back. So Liz is standing behind Bryce, and the instructor says people have a tendency to rush when they're nervous, which I can understand. And she says, "Don't do that. Slow down." And Liz says, "Hear that, buddy?" And Bryce throws back, "You hear that?" Yeah. Liz keeps insulting Bryce about how he's not doing as well as she wants him to, but she's just as bad, if not worse. She is being a total bitch to him, and that's where we leave that for today. I have 2 more episodes, 1 more episode, and then the wedding episode, and then we'll be done with these people for a while. All right, next we have entitled people, and it is entitled Bully on Plane I'm Currently On. I, 43 female, I'm an anxious flyer. Not due to the fear of flying, but fear of people. I mean, that's fair. So I'm pretty happy with how I'm handling this situation that's happening right now. I'm flying back from vacation in Costa Rica. I paid for priority and exit row seat. The flight was supposedly full, but somehow the middle seat next to me, I'm in aisle seat, is empty. It's a 4-hour flight, so not having to rub shoulders with a stranger is a welcome surprise. I get all settled in. My electronics are charging. I have stuff in the seat back, Wi-Fi connected, and then order some food and drinks from the flight attendant. Having an extra tray table between me and the window passenger is also quite helpful. Just as I'm starting my snacks and mixed drink, the guy across the aisle from me, a 50s-ish male, asks if the middle seat is empty. I have to take off my headphones and then respond, "Yep," and I put my headphones back on. A couple of minutes later, he starts talking to me again, so I'm removing my headphones again. He said, "Switch seats to me so my wife in the back of the plane can come up and sit with me in that empty seat." No, she didn't pay for that seat. No, dude. I said, "Well, I'm all settled in right now and I really don't want to move while eating, but if you wait." He interrupts me to say, "It'll be really easy to switch all of our stuff." And I again say that I will switch when I'm done eating because he doesn't even listen to me. She's not even saying no, dude. She's saying be patient. She's not saying no. Um, he just talks over me, saying things like, "Unbelievable. So I can't sit next to my wife because you won't just do a simple thing like switch one aisle seat for another. So ridiculous. How unbelievably rude." Oh, then you're okay. I'm not switching with you at all now. That's what I would be doing. I kept trying to tell him just wait a few minutes, but now he's pissing me off. Yeah, of course he is. It's probably his raisin Betra. Um, I keep trying to tell him to just wait a few minutes, but now he's pissing me off. He never asked, never said please, and I immediately just started talking loudly and gesturing around to everyone, telling him how unbelievable I am. If I was next to him, I would be going, "You need to shut up or you ain't getting that seat." So then he finally takes a breath and says, "How about you, after you finish eating, you'll switch?" To which I say, "As I was telling you, I would be fine switching after I eat, but not after you've been so rude. Now I'm not going to switch with you at all." Good for her. Of course, this makes him incensed. He continues to bluster and bloviate about how I'm so unbelievable and keeping him from his poor wife. Why don't you have the guy in the back that's sitting with your wife come on and switch seats with you? Just saying. Then he tries to talk to the man next to him about how evil I am and just starts leaning across the aisle, glaring at me right from 18 inches from my face, shaking his head and making disappointing noises. At some point, he mumbles under his breath, and I think he said bitch, but it was hard to hear as I put my headphones back on and was just ignoring him. For the next hour, he continued to glare and yelled back to his wife that I was preventing them from sitting together. Why didn't you buy seats together, dude? So weird. So I just completely ignored him and texted my friends, laughing and smiling a lot, just pissing him off more, but not doing anything wrong or engaging him in any way. We're about an hour from landing at this point, and he seems to have given up and is just leaning back and not staring at me anymore. I have a feeling he's going to say something when we're disembarking, either to me or the people around us about how unbelievable and ridiculous I am. My plan is to just half smile wryly and say, okay, and I'm going to do my best to not take any bait. Good for you. And get in an argument because there isn't any point with people like this. Well, you should have told the flight attendant, you should have called the flight attendant over and told her that he was harassing you and bullying you. That's what you should have done already. I know this will be hard for me. Any advice? Also, let me know what you would say in a situation like this. If this guy is capable of listening, I would tell him his own fault for not upgrading his wife's seat and getting seats next to each other before the flight. I also want to reiterate that I would have switched even though I didn't want to until he became so rude and entitled. But I doubt it would make a difference, and I'm just not going to give any reaction instead. Thanks for reading. I'm trying to buck up before the plane lands. I hate being in situations like this, but I hate giving in to bullies more. Throwaway says it's top rated comment, and they say, keep your headphones on and just ignore him. Nothing will enrage him more than you just being completely unbothered by the incident and having enjoyed an empty seat next to you the entire flight, not paying a single thought to him and his little tantrum at all. Exactly. Pleasant Studio says they hate being ignored. If you do happen to accidentally make eye contact at any point, just smile a huge smile at him and move on. Sportsbot says if you make eye contact, wink at him and smile. That'll burn him like nothing else. Second top rated comments from Gator, and they say, did you have the option of alerting a flight attendant other than providing a firm, adamant no to his request? My next play would be to involve the flight crew. As for giving up one seat, I was often the person to ask to do so. Single guy flying alone, just to be agreeable. I would usually switch seats often to my regret. I started refusing all requests after I was moved into the back, sitting beside an obviously ill teenage boy. 3 days later in Honolulu, I was unable to get out of bed thanks to that kid. OP says the flight attendant was next to us serving drinks when this started and ignored it. I also know that there aren't any other empty seats on the plane, so I was worried that they wouldn't be able to do anything substantial and he might just stare harder. So instead, I went for the don't feed the trolls approach. He's been quiet for a while now. It seems he has given up. Landing soon. Confident Confident Aioli says, exit row seats are usually more money because there's more leg room, so chances are the flight attendant wouldn't let his wife sit there anyway. We have a map on the iPad of empty seats, and if there's only one, it's pretty obvious. Yeah, exactly. Why didn't he pay for his wife to sit there? Bald Dude says, so the guy paid for an extra legroom seat for himself and left his wife in the back. What a POS. Exactly. The Carnate Dame says, I would be happy to move for $200 cash up front. Great. Expert Salamander says, that is 0 to that. You're much too kind. Wow. What an entitled guy. You can't bully people into giving up their seat. Stop trying. You're going to get yourself banned from flying, good dude. That's what should happen. Murdered by words. Says Eric Kirk says that Europe is not safe anymore since it has surrendered to criminals. And Tommy points out that her husband was not offed because when he was in Europe. Next, we have Arches National Park again. 1-star reviews. Snow-covered arches in January. Well, what did you expect? This is from Edward in Ivins, Utah. Arches has so many significant sites that it takes several days to really do the park. We are fortunate to have snow to highlight the area. We are photographers, so we plan to visit to specific sites for morning and evening shots. If you can, plan on several days to take it all in. Why is this a 1-star review, dude? Why did you make it a 1-star? You're an idiot. Next is traumatized them back. and it is entitled "It's Because He Likes You," and I do not like that phrase at all since 3rd grade. Yes, there's a story. So this story comes not from me, but my mom back in her kindergarten days in school. How did I know? Back then, she was targeted by this one boy in particular. I call him Tucker for the sake of the story. Tucker sat at the table behind my mom during class. My mom had been harassed by Tucker since the start of kindergarten. He would poke my mom during class, mess up the toys she was playing with, take her pencils when she wasn't looking, etc. But everything came to a head the week before winter break when Tucker decided to push my mom a little bit during recess. However, that tiny shove threw off my mom's stride and she ended up slipping on some black ice that neither of them were aware of. Because of that, my mom actually could have gotten seriously hurt. Uh, that was what finally got the teacher's attention, since until now, all the previous incidents with Tucker had been forgiven, with an apology from him, along with an empty promise not to do whatever he did again. But this time it was different. Parents were called. Everyone gathered in the office to give their sides of the story. Now, my mom didn't remember too much about the jargon that all the adults were talking about, but she did remember that Tucker's mom was defending his actions, saying that my mom was making a big deal out of a small thing and that my little angel could never do anything so mean. Your little angel is a devil. But the thing that angered her the most was when she said Tucker just liked her and didn't know how to express it. And that's what happened in 3rd grade. Oh, he just likes you. That's why he's ruining your clothes. I had this awesome jacket, suede jacket with fringe. Yeah, I was a weird kid. He ripped off all the fringe on my jacket. I was so mad. But he just liked me. I guess he turned out okay. Somebody on his wife just recently died, and we were friends on Facebook, but I'm not friends with him. If he wants to be friends with me, he can friend me, but I'm not going to be friends with him. I'm not going to ask for it because I don't care. I'm still mad at him from 3rd grade. That was what pushed my mom over the edge. She got up from her kindergarten-sized chair, walked over to where Tucker was sitting, grabbed his arm, and bit him hard. She said, "I did that because I like you." My mom didn't quite remember what exactly happened after that. She remembered a lot of screaming and crying, and then eventually going home early to let my grandma and grandpa lecture my mom. Her lecture came in the form of ice cream and an early dismissal from school. Good for these parents. Green flags for grandma and grandpa, let me tell you, because that's what I would have done too. I would have never been brave enough to do that. I would have gotten beat. Well, if it had only been my stepmom there, I'd have gotten beat. If my dad had been there, it might have been different. It depends, but he wasn't there a lot because he had to work. Mom had told my grandparents about Tucker's antics for months, and they didn't want to punish her for advocating for herself for the first time. However, they did make sure to tell her that there were other methods she should try before resorting to violence. The next day back at school, she learned that Tucker had been switched to another class to avoid future incidents. Good. As my tormentor wasn't. Although, now that I think about it, we weren't in class again. Oh, he got held back. I forgot. I forgot he got held back. 3rd and 4th grade were big holdback years in high school. A lot of my friends got held back, and male friends. The girls almost never got held back, but the boys all the time got held back. Top technician says I feel like she did try other methods before resorting to violence. None of the teachers really cared about the violence she was subjected to. Girls are just supposed to be grateful for any attention from boys. She's a hero. I agree. I like her. Curly Shoe says, which translates to girls should be grateful for violence. Never thought about it this way. Oh, notice answers. Turn the other cheek. Sets up girls to be abused and feel sorry for their abusers. And feel sorry for their abusers. Yeah. Curly Fall says, answers exactly the whole, he hits you, is mean to you because he likes you. Tells girls that abuse is love. Yeah, it's really sad. Second top rated comment is from Hollow That Follows and is They say this reminds me of my own mother. My mother has an older sister with Down syndrome growing up. When I, when my mom, I don't know why there's an I in there, was around 10, one boy kept harassing and bullying her sister relentlessly. She was in the hidden generation, aka Gen X. So it was during a time when adults didn't care about bullying and let kids figure it out themselves. Yeah, I mean, technically, by 2 weeks, I'm a boomer, but I'm not. Um, Everybody in school was younger than me. Well, practically everybody was. So I'm definitely Gen X. And those in between years like that, you can go either way. Like, I have a younger sister in law that's definitely a boomer. Well, one day, well, actually, there's a lot of people younger than me that I know that are boomers, and some of us older ones are Gen X. One day, my mom was fed up with him constantly harassing my aunt, so she went up to him and kicked him so hard in the balls she literally made him infertile. Oh my! She got in a ton of trouble at first as the parents in school started to realize the boy was bullying a child with Down syndrome. My mom was no longer in trouble. The kid never made fun of her again and was terrified of my mother for the rest of the time they were together in school. My mom says to this day she doesn't have biological kids from what she can tell on he doesn't have biological kids from what she can tell on Facebook. Pepperoni answers, I read a sci-fi book in which the alternative dimension was one in which Neanderthals were the dominant human species because they were so strong, violence could not be tolerated, so any violent act was punished with immediate sterilization to ensure the violent tendencies were not passed on to the next generation. Your aunt had the same policy, and I um, applaud her. And then they have a link, which I'm going to copy. Link address, and I'm going to put it on here for us. Um, going in the description ahead of the email. And I'm going to look that up later because that sounds good. Sounds like a good book that I would like. Okay, then they're just talking about the book, discovering that they've read the same book, which is nice. Their temporary comment is from Commercial Curve, and they say, telling little girls that violence means love is terrible. Your mom brooking none of that mindset is admirable, especially so young. Yeah, kindergarten. She must have had really good uh, instruction earlier. And somebody's defending it. I'm not even reading it. It's stupid. We're going to go down to Cuddly Visitors just for a moment. And they say, sounds about right. I was picked on horribly by the same 5 boys in junior high from 6th grade to 8th grade. I could never defend myself because I was always 1 versus 5. One day, one of them started crap with me in gym class, and none of the other boys were there. So I went all in on him, and he ended up getting sent to the hospital. Because of zero tolerance policies, we both got the same punishment 2 days out of school suspension. This is what made my dad flip out on them. There was an incident with them 2 or 3 times a week for 3 full school years, and the school did nothing to prevent it, even though my dad was on them about it every time. My dad then made them know. He threatened a lawsuit, and all of a sudden, the 5 boys were told by the police that what they were doing is gang activity and they will be arrested if anything else happens. I didn't have an issue, but even at 35, I have trust issues. One of the things they would do is convince other kids to be my friend just to lure me to a park to jump me. That's horrible. See, it can affect your whole life. Next, we have What Should I Do? And it is entitled, A child in my daughter's class is acting in ways that make my stomach turn. And there's a trigger warning. I don't know. It just says TW. For reference, my daughter, 11, has a friend in her class who has always been raised by her grandparents. Her dad is in prison and her mom just recently passed away due to OD. That's horrible. That's so sad. It's always been my daughter, this one child, and another little girl in the friend group has always supported each other. Recently, this girl has started acting in a way I cannot wrap my mind around. She has a TikTok and is voice and is posting videos of a sexual nature, even calling her boyfriend daddy. She's 11. Grown men are commenting and reacting, and it's sickening. Yeah. She walks around with hickeys all over her neck, spends the night with her boyfriend because he has a sister their age. She even has answered FaceTimes from my daughter where her and her boyfriend are doing things. I'm sorry, my kid would not be friends with this kid for much longer. After that, not at all, if that happened. At 11? Are you kidding me? Shouldn't even know what that is at 11. She's making fun of other kids' parents that have also passed away. Why would you do that? It's weird. Kid needs help. Call CPS for this poor kid's sake. Most recently, she told my daughter that she went to spend the night at another friend's house, and the friend got in the shower with her and uh, made her do things and watch videos, which I know is not true because the friend has already told her mom weeks prior that this child has the videos on her phone, which resulted in the mom not letting this kid come over or her kid going to her house. There's a smart mom. What concerns me the most is the fact that people raising her see the TikToks and know everything is happening and do absolutely nothing about it. The grandmother is a well known lady in the community. We live in a small town and everyone is scared to go against her. Why? I have no idea. So you go against her. Call CPS. This is not normal behavior. This is abusive behavior. This is behavior that indicates abuse. For the time being, I have told my daughter she's not allowed to go anywhere near these people, and the people who are raising the boyfriend or his sister. Her phone is locked down, and I've told her to stay out of it. But I'm having a hard time coming to terms with how this child is behaving, and I know this is a learned behavior, and it concerns me terribly. So do something. Some point down the line, she has either had this done to her or has seen it, and I have no idea what to help this kid. Do I call CPS? Yes. Do I send them to TikToks? Yes. Do I call the police? Yes. What do I do? All of that and more. And you also report the TikToks. Contact Tackle says you take the TikTok straight to the police and make a report to CPS. OP says they've gotten in touch with a friend that's a police officer. Um, not not Rami says this is beyond talking to your friend. You need to make an official report if you want to do the right thing. Clearly, everyone is ignoring the behavior and probably seems much easier to just informally gossip about it with your one friend who happens to be a police officer, but doing the right thing is really easy. Somebody says make sure you do a paper trail always. Yes, always have a paper trail in case they come after you. Fenchurch is the second top rated comment, and they say, make sure your daughter is informed of your concerns and why they are concerns. If you are in an area where sex education is avoided, then it's up to you to arm your daughter with knowledge. That 100%. She says she's doing that. Um, Something Stranger says, tell the teacher they are mandatory reporters, and then you also call CPS so there's more than one report. OP says that she has no faith in the teachers, and the grandmother is a substitute teacher and a full-time bus driver. So if they tell the teacher, they'll just go to the grandmother. And she's thinking about going to the superintendent of safety. She needs to do something. Is there an update on this? Okay, yeah, I found an update in the comments. She said she talked to the child's aunt and she's on the same page and regarding the social media aspect was going to try and do what she can talking to the kids' guardians. I also submitted all of her social media info to the county sheriff's office and they escalated the situation to internet crimes against children. Somebody's getting a fed after them. Just saying. That's federal offense right there. Um, Next, we have malicious compliance, and it is entitled, "Damn, these are disturbing today." Want to smell my fingers? Okay. I have this aunt named Jean who is, well, a bit of a jerk. Uh, a female jerk? One of those one of those people who always want to stir up drama, get people in trouble, cause fights. When I was a teenager, she'd go out of her way to get me in trouble with my parents because she said they were too lenient. Now, at the time of the story, I'm 14 years old and I had been a regular smoker for 4 years. Started early, but quit in my late 20s, now 30. Started at 10. I feel like we've already read this one. Might have been somewhere else, but I feel like we already read this one. He was 10 when he started smoking. I thought it was bad when my dad said he was 12. He also has not smoked in 30 years because he stopped around the time my son was born, and he's 30. My parents knew that I smoked, but had a don't ask, don't tell mentality about it, and they punished me if they caught me smoking at home, even though they both smoked or outside, but otherwise pretty much ignored it. This laissez-faire attitude drove dear old Auntie Jean nuts, so she'd regularly try me out for smoking. It just gets gross, by the way. Just trigger warning. It gets gross. Um, so she'd regularly try to out me for smoking. I'm surprised it's still on here because it should have been. So she'd regularly uh, try to out me for smoking to get me in trouble. This included demanding to smell my fingers when I came home, or had been outside or out of sight for a while. If she smelled tobacco, she'd rat on me to my mom, who usually ground me for a day or two. One day, dear old Auntie Jean is visiting my home, and they're sitting at the table having a lovely little chin wag. I came home and went in to say hi, and immediately dear old Auntie Jean demands to smell my fingers, and I said, "Oh, wait a minute, I have something to do first." Ran upstairs before my mom finally got annoyed enough with dear old Aunt Jean's whining to force me to let her sniff my digits. Dear old Aunt Jean yelled at me after, "I better not be hearing the water running, or I'll know you wash the smoke stink off." Once upstairs, you don't have to like smell somebody's fingers to get a whiff. It's on their clothes. I mean, there are people you can pass in the store and go, "Oh." I do it all the time. 'Cause I cannot stand that smell. And I don't have the best smeller, the best sniffer. So it's got to be really bad for other people. Once upstairs, I went into the bathroom, proceeded to take a nice, stinky dump. Finished up as I normally would, but didn't wash my hands as per old Auntie Jean's orders. I came back down to the kitchen and presented my hand for dear old Auntie Jean to sniff. She gave my fingers a good long inhale. "Ew, that smells like crap," said dear old Auntie Jean. I nodded thoughtfully and said, "Okay," before turning to pour myself a cup of coffee. I had my back to them, and there was a period of about 10 to 15 seconds of expectant silence as they waited for me to tell them what the smell was. Finally, my mom said, "Well, what was the smell?" I said, "Oh, it was crap." Dear old Auntie Jean immediately began gagging and rushing to the sink. For some reason, the actual smell of poop didn't make her sick. Learning that it was did. I'm not sure if it legitimately psychosomatic or just more drama, but she spent several minutes retching into the sink. My mom was simultaneously amused but slightly annoyed and asked me why I did that. She told me not to wash my hands, just following orders. "You want to sniff my fingers, dear old Auntie Jean? Enjoy a nose full of poop smell." Edit becomes because um, so much in the comments. No, I didn't crap all over my fingers. I don't know why someone would read "I finished up as I normally would" and that translate to crap all over your hands. I use regular toilet paper and wiped correctly. For the people saying your fingers don't smell like poo if you wipe correctly, yes, they do. It's very, very faint smell, but it's there and can be detected if you stick your fingers directly under someone's nose. I mean, sometimes you can. Try it the next time you poo, then wipe and sniff your fingers before washing your hands. Some people in comments say I was reeking of crap. Really, really need to work on the reading comprehension. For the vast majority who are polite and nice, thank you for the kind comments. Zelatine said, "Your aunt needs to learn how hygiene works." And Sudden Outcome has the real tea. because they say, "OP fixed herself a cup of coffee with crap on her fingers." Yeah, exactly. Um, Next is superstitious pigeons. That's the second top rated comment. And they say, "You started smoking at 10. I'm guessing you're middle aged or older, but that's still kind of crazy." Um, OP says, "Yeah, it was stupid. It was in the early 70s, and we weren't as well informed as to the dangers." No, we were. We were. That's not true. That's not true. I was in high school in the 70s. We all knew what happened. We were given pictures of lungs that smoking lungs and non-smoking lungs. We knew in science class, biology, and in health class. So we knew. Funky says, "Wait, so you didn't wash your hands, but you got yourself a cup of coffee?" Oh, P says, "Yes. Any other part clearly written, easily understood story you need explained to you?" And she got downvoted like, really bad. Um, Drunken Dude says, "Yikes." Ruthless says, "You didn't wash your hands after she had her sniff and before you made your coffee, and you have that attitude to go with your disgusting action." And there was a removed comment. Timus's brother, "That wasn't about reading comprehension. The dude was concerned that you had poo fingers on your coffee cup. The story reads like, take a crap, adult sniffs fingers, makes coffee. Isn't the point when you're just, there isn't a point where you're describing washing your hands." Exactly. Something else. They're still going on about how they weren't wrong about not washing their hands before getting, like, you have stuff on your hands even if you can't see or smell it, you still have stuff on your hands. There are these things, they're microscopic. They're called germs. And if you can smell something, that means there's something there. Even if you can't smell it, there's probably still something there. That's why we wash our hands after we use the toilet. Next, we have evil buildings, and this is the Total hydroelectric power plant in Kyrgyzstan. Kyrgyzstan. And warning, there's somebody looking at you. That's scary. I don't want that guy watching me. I don't like that damn guy. He's scary. Oh, somebody says it's a Kira Reservoir Dam. Lennon is watching. Oh, that's good. Uh, Next, we have AITAH because I refuse to finish a story if my husband interrupts. It depends. It depends. That's all I really have to ask. My husband insists on interrupting any story I tell while he is present to either correct me or to add to it. Oh, okay. So you're telling stories to other people, not to your husband. That's a different situation than I was thinking. The latest example was today. We were visiting his parents for Easter, and I was telling him about our plans for our vacation this summer. We were doing a Mediterranean cruise, and I was saying how it starts in Rome, and he entered me to say it was a cruise of the Greek islands, which it is, but and it starts in Rome. So I stopped talking, let him finish the story, which he doesn't know. He doesn't know any of the ports of call or excursions. Literally, all he knows is that the cruise starts and ends in Rome. He kept pressing me to add information. I politely declined. He said he was so anxious to talk about how the cruise started in Rome. He must know all about it. He's off sulking because his parents think he's an idiot for not knowing anything besides one tidbit. He said I made him look bad, so he's sleeping in his little sister's room. She has a twin bed. Lucky for him, she is with with her fiance's family this weekend. He's sleeping in another room because he made himself look like an idiot. No, you're not the a-hole. Not at all. So am I the a-hole for allowing him to finish every story of mine he chooses to insert himself into, whether he knows about the subject or not? Edit to answer the most common questions. Which of the 100 times the conversation happened? The first time he said he didn't realize he was being interrupted. He he was interrupting. 50th time, more or less, he said it wasn't that big a deal. The last roughly number 100 times, he said he couldn't help himself, and that's just the way he was, and I needed to understand he wasn't able to change. You're always able to change. Stop interrupting your wife. It's rude. It's rude. Unless you know the story and can tell it better, stop it. I see Gene as the top rated comment, and they say the resentment is building, I think. Rose Rosita oh, Rosalito Rodeo says it does not bode well. Four horsemen of divorce. Oh, you gotta love Reddit comments. That's why I read them. And you can learn things. Electrical Waves says, uh, contempt is the beginning of the end. Yes. Melancholy says, I answers, I was going to ask this. My partner and I tag in. We both chronologically interrupt, but only one of us gets annoyed, and this really helps. Odd Impact answers, both my wife and I interrupt. When one of us decides it's annoying, the other one apologizes. Then we go right back to doing it to each other. That's a good marriage right there. That's a good marriage. There's no luck says, I do this, but I'm aware of it and actively working on not to do it. But it's a very hard habit to break, especially when excited about a topic. Is he at least aware of what he's doing and apologetic? This for me would be the biggest indicator here. She's OP's answers, no, he has never apologized for it. He always has excuses. Four horsemen of the divorce, ahoy. I think that's going to be a new thing. Four horsemen of the divorce. I like it. Don't you? Do you like it? I like it. I'm going to start using it. Next, we have Neighbors from Hell, and it is entitled Neighbor Got My Wife's Car Towed. Well, what'd you do? To get towed. I got back from the store and noticed my wife's car wasn't there. It's usually parked right in front of our house. She drives it once or twice a month since she works from home. You should every month, every week, you should drive your car just a little bit. Turns out neighbor called the city and reported it abandoned. They never knocked on our door to talk to us, and people all over the neighborhood park on the street. They outed themselves on the complaint by giving the reporting agency their address, so I know who it is. Wife here for some clarification. OP did leave out a lot of detail. The wife is interrupting the story. I love it. Oh, you can't plan that. You cannot plan that. We live in a three-street suburban neighborhood where plenty of people park on the street for days, weeks at a time with no issue. We even asked the HOA prior to moving in if street parking was okay, and they said they do not monitor and haven't had issues with street parking. I work from home, and when I do leave the house, I'm typically with my husband in his car since he prefers to drive. We do have a driveway. However, my husband parks his car in our one-car garage, and I park on the street directly in front of our house, so I don't have to move my car out of the way every morning when he leaves. We prefer to keep his nicer car in the garage out of the elements over my car being in the garage because, admittedly, my 2016 Toyota looks like crap due to a paint recall. The paint is chipping off in hunks, and notification for the paint recall didn't get rerouted to me in time to get the recall taken care of free of charge due to multiple moves in the prior years. Huh? I don't think recalls expire, do they? I've never heard of that. I guess maybe because it's not a safety issue. And I'm sure it was largely due to my car being ugly since no other cars have been issues parking on the street every day. OP is not saying the tow company, city, or person who complained did anything unlawful. Oh no, the person who complained did something bad. OP posted this as a rant vent because there was no common courtesy from the neighbor or whoever complained. I could have and would have easily moved my car to the driveway or driven it and put it back in the same spot as is fully operational. Also want to add that my car was driven 2 days before it was tagged. It was tagged on the driver's side back window, so we cannot see it from the door of the house or leaving the house in his car. So, yes, it was tagged and we did not ignore it. We just didn't see it within the 72 hours. And we were not holding a parking spot, as every house on our neighborhood has a driveway and or garage along with the street parking. My car has been parked there for over a year, for a year and a half, and driven 4 to 5 times a month with no issues. So, no, I do not think to walk around my car every 3 days looking for a tag. However, now that I know, I will. In general, we just think it's dumb to have your own operable car towed from the front of your own house on a street where many people park their own cars in front of their own houses without issue and without anyone discussing it with us directly prior to towing it, especially since we're at home when it got towed. What if I were on vacation those 3 days? But I digress. Yeah, exactly. 3 days does not seem reasonable. uh, Plus, it says a lot of cities have ordinances that cars parked on the street must be moved periodically. At least once every 72 hours seems to be standard. Find out what the law is in your city and then follow it. Follow it. They say follow it. I would follow it, but I wouldn't follow it. Um, somebody says they're ignoring it. Now they're accusing her of saving the space. She's not. Chief Brody says they probably just don't drive much. I live in a big city and drive my car 2 to 3 times a month unless I'm going out of town. Exactly. I mean, I don't live in a city and I only drive my car once a week. 72 hours is nothing. When I lived in the city, I wouldn't drive every 3 days. I didn't park my car on the street, but there were plenty parked there for way longer than that. No Anxiety says there was an abandoned truck parked in front of my house last year. No license plate, no outside mirrors, and no other issues that uh, made it look non-operational. After 2 months of not moving, I called the local police. They came out and ticketed it one day, took the VIN number, and attempted to trace it. They towed it a couple days later. I talked to the officer. He found the owner via the VIN and was sold the previous year, but not registered by the new owner, so no one knew yet if it had been stolen or whatever. Miss Storm Chaser says you waited 2 months. I would wait 2 weeks. I think 2 weeks is reasonable. Willy Nillies says check their username, no anxiety and infinite patience. Mm. Tom, the bass player, says it's hard to believe the city just declared it abandoned on site and towed it. Are you sure there wasn't a notice on the car? Um, and somebody was being rude about the sticker again. CM Lawrence says they should have known that it was your wife's car, or to them, does it just look like a car that's been parked there on the street and never moved? If your wife only moves it once or twice a month, it's possible that every time they looked there it was. It's very unlikely that the car was towed after just one report without leaving a note on the car as warning. I don't believe you're telling us the whole story, blah, blah, blah. Um, and then somebody else answers with the ticket thing. So weird that you went to see the ticket. Like, don't you ever pass? How do you not pass it? Unless it was on the, I don't know. I don't understand how you couldn't see it one way or another. You got to pass it at least once. Next, I have Benign Existence, and it is entitled My Neighbor Moved Out and Left Me Something Useful. My neighbor moved out this week and I went over to help him pack a bit and just hang out before he left. We've lived next to each other for a while. We'd run into each other in the hallway and just start talking, sometimes end up grabbing food together, sometimes just helping each other pick up packages. We kind of get used to each other being around. So we made friends. That's nice. At some point, we got to his chair. I remember that he said he bought it from Colony. I said I'd sat in it before and it felt like it was actually really comfortable, like breathable, and just fit me better than mine. He just said, "You want it?" And that was that. Finally, we even used it to move some stuff, stacked things on it, and rolled it down the hallway instead of carrying them. Now it's in my, now it's just in my place every time I sit and I think about that afternoon a little. Oh, that's nice. That's a good friendship. I love it. Next, we have Found Satan, and it is entitled, This is the Level I Aspire to Be. I don't know. My husband and I are having a competition to see who can hide plastic eggs in hard spots. Loser has to cook and clean for a week. It's been 3 days. He's currently tearing your garage apart while I watch Netflix. I haven't hidden a single egg. Oh, that's awesome. I love it. Oh, those are the bananigans. uh, Axel Vors says, yep, until he says, fine, I give up, where was it? And figures out he's been cheating. And Final Command says, or checks Twitter. Everybody still calls it Twitter. Wang Elon. Or don't. Don't, because it'll probably give you a baby that you don't need. He certainly doesn't need any more. Horror Telephone says, but eventually she will get caught cheating. You see what I did there? Did you catch her handle? I don't know why that has anything to do with it. Prestigious Sugar is the third top rated comment, and she says, I thought this was going in a different direction, but her solution is good too. Oh, that is evil though, is it not? Next we have Just No Mill, and it is entitled Mill Won't Leave During Postpartum. My Mill lives out of state and tends to fly in for long visits. I told her when I was 25 weeks pregnant that the maximum amount she could stay during the postpartum period is 10 days. That's a lot of time. That's a lot of time. We agreed on the arrival date and the departure, and it's still crazy to me. Crazy long to me. Little did I know she went ahead and planned 17 days and only told husband. Her departure date was way after we agreed. Anyway, I had to have an emergency C-section, so she flew in even earlier by 9 days. In all, she's been here 9 days. Done. She's had her time, right? Wrong. When I found out she had secretly booked a week later for leaving, I asked her to change the flight and leave ASAP so I could find my normalcy and routine in the time we agreed on. I'm having trouble feeding and bonding and resting with the baby while she's here, so I told her that it would be best if she left. I reminded her that she came early and had already seen the baby for 9 extra days. The situation changed. Adjustments are needed, so she changed her flight. Instead of now, it's in a week. She just moved the departure date back to the original date. I told her to leave as nicely as possible. Instead, she just made a flight a little earlier, but not earlier at all because it's the original departure date. I cannot do another week. I asked her to leave. I also told her something, and she did something else. She's planning on staying until it's been a full month of my baby's life. She's ruining the whole experience. I set up the boundary twice now. How do I get this woman out of my house? She won't listen to her husband either. What do I do now? Call the cops? Tell her to leave? Nope said I had an emergency C-section, and I don't think she's going to want to pack up and go to a hotel. I'd be straight up and said, I've asked you nicely to leave. You have overstayed your welcome. If I need to escalate, I will. Also, wang your husband. What a jerk for not standing up to you. I've had 2 C-sections, and my second one was horrid. I could barely move without pain, and I'm unable to handle pain medications without vomiting. She's ruining your experience, and honestly, I tell your husband she has to get her out like 2 weeks ago. If not, kick them out. No, 2 weeks is plenty time. 2 weeks is plenty time to have somebody who's not really helping in your house. If she's helpful and you feel comfortable, that's a whole different story. But she need to go. She need to go after a week. Collision Chick says call the police and have her removed. Hugs Cuz says leave my house. Your visit is over. If you don't want to stay in the area, if you want to stay in the area, so go to a hotel. But you will not be staying in my home, and I will not be hosting any visits any further. If you are not gone by tomorrow, then myself and I, the baby, then myself and the baby will be. How are you going to do that? You're not allowed to drive. 6 weeks. Major abdominal surgery. Next, we have Petty of Revenge, and it is entitled, I got revenge on a school bully by pretending not to know him. That sounds cool. This happened about a year ago, but I watched some Smosh Reddit stories and remembered this and decided to share. Smosh is good for Reddit stories, by the way. I listen to them. That's probably where I heard that other one. So for context, I went to a Catholic school with a friend who is trans man. I'll call him Dave. We were really close friends, and I'm really proud of him. He was going through a lot of other crap I won't get into here, but just know that he had a rough time. I'm sure he did, because trans kids do not have good times normally and under normal circumstances. But he was still a great friend and is doing great now at a university for art. At the time, Dave was openly trans and went by him pronouns and a new name. Unfortunately, everyone knew him before his transition and his old name, so people give him crap for it. There was this guy, I call him Brad, who used to bully him a lot and be transphobic. Brad never bullied me that much, but he was really awful to my trans friend by misgendering him and just generally saying really awful things. So imagine my surprise when me and my family went to Greg's, a bakery in the US. Yes, I'm very familiar with Greg's. Never been to the UK. Know what Greg's is. And Brad was there behind the counter. And I'm not usually a petty person, but when he struck up a conversation with me and I decided I was going to be polite and give this a-hole any kind of energy, instead I just pretended not to know him. He said, "Oh, hey, OP, you all right?" I just say, "Sorry, do I know you?" Brad tries to explain that he knows me from school, and I just give him a weird look and say, "Sorry, I have no idea who you are." My parents and my sister are right there watching me do this, turning away to hold back laughter. I guess they caught on that I was doing this on purpose. Last thing he says before I leave with my muffin is, "Ah, oof, awkward, ha ha." Afterwards, my family asked who he was, and I explained who he was and what he did, and they laughed their butts off. Honestly, I think it's the only revenge I've ever done, but man, it felt good to humiliate that. I'll see you next Tuesday. What is with bullies thinking they can just talk to you like they weren't complete a-holes to you? Like, I get people can change, but what makes them think I even want to talk to them when all I remember about them is being a complete a-hole? Too popular is a top-rated comment, and they say, "Revenge against bullies stories are always great because the schools never do anything to or punish them." 100%. Sometimes the schools will just pile on. Sixth grade. Yeah, my school is bad. Probably why fights break out at graduation. Yes, passionately says they punish the victims instead. And Biggin says, especially if the victims fight back, the bully never gets in trouble. It's so true. 2 Cents Word says, not always. In fifth grade, the son of the parochial school secretary bullied my friend and I, the two smallest girls in the class. That would have been me. Knocking our stuff off desks, making fun of us, messing with our long hair, etc. My mom worked at the school as well and got the lovely post-school kid pickup watch, so I was always there late. This day, my friend was there with me, and we were having a sleepover. We were in the fifth grade classroom doing some seasonal decorations for the teacher who had gone off to the teacher's workroom to make copies or something. In walks our bully. He wandered through our crafting area, gave the mean grin, and shoved all of it onto the floor. My friend and I exchanged a "I am so done with this crap" look, and simultaneously jumped him. We beat the crap out of him, as much as two untrained 11-year-olds without weapons could anyway. He finally got free of us and ran off crying. I'm not sure how much damage we did, but he was out of school the rest of the week. Good for him. Good for you. Good for you. He never bullied us again, but there was never any consequences to us. To be fair, looking back as an adult, it was obvious that he himself was the target of bullying from bigger boys. Occasionally, the victim wins. Kelsey Kelsier says, getting some Christmas story vibes off of this. Go, Ralphie. I was one big chubby kid and also got bullied occasionally, usually in gym class. In particular, there was this one giant kid, almost twice my size, and his little short, skinny friend. One day, the smaller bully was picking on me, and the bigger bully mentioned, "One of these days, Kessler is going to lose it and pop you in the mouth, and your jaw will just be hanging there." The smaller bully saw the look in my eyes and realized that it was true, and I absolutely could do that. Never bothered me again. I didn't even need to touch him, just exhibit the crazy look in my eyes. Peanut says, my younger half brother was a reasonably big kid growing up, both in terms of height and weight, and he was getting really badly bullied for a while in high school by kids that were a lot smaller than him, and he wasn't believed when he did try to report it. It was assumed that because he was a big kid, he must be the aggressor. Don't assume things. Never mind the fact that he's quite introverted. My mom even tried to report it and also wasn't believed. One day, my brother lost it while he was getting bullied and put his fist through a closed plate glass window. He cut his hand up really bad and was lucky he managed to just avoid doing permanent damage to the ligaments and tendons in his hand. Apparently, he was only 1 or 2 millimeters off from cutting through something major. When asked why he punched the window, he responded it was either the window or their face. Given my brother punched a glass plate window with his fist hard enough to break it, I don't want to know how much damage he would have done to some kid's face and head. The school wanted to suspend my brother over it. My mom made my stepdad go to the meeting at the school with her to back her up while she went to bat for my brother. Funnily enough, the school executive pretty much bent over backward when my stepdad went in to ask why the school hadn't addressed any of the multiple reports from both my brother and mom about the bullying my brother had received. My stepdad may have implied that he would take legal action against the school class Department of Education if my dad ended up with a permanent loss of movement in his hand, given that they did nothing to even attempt to prevent the bullying. It was also pointed out that my brother could have punched the other kid, chose not to, and even when he reached the point of snapping. I think that was the point where it clicked that with the school executive that my brother could have done some really serious damage to the other kid had he not punched the window. My brother didn't end up getting suspended. I don't know what, if any, action was taken against the bullies, but I think that seeing how hard my brother punched the window might have made them back off. So, I just want to say right here, retaliatory violence is a thing. You can only go, everyone has their breaking point. Some people's breaking points are shallow, some are deep, but everybody has one. And once you reach it, you will retaliate with violence. And that is a victim thing, not a perpetrator thing, just so you know. C appearance says I was always the smallest, youngest boy in my grade. Added to this was the fact that I was both smart and a smart ass. This led to me getting into a lot of learning experiences as a child. Luckily, an uncle with a similar build and disposition taught me about MAD, mutually assured destruction, and how to achieve it. I never won a fight, but the other guy also lost just as much. After about second grade, people just left me alone. For me, maybe the worst bullying. And then I moved just when they started eighth grade. New school and still the smallest and youngest, but with no rep for crazy. Got to class a little late after doing the paperwork for enrollment, and there was one seat open in front of a Latina girl in full war paint makeup from her older sister, including 1 inch nails filed to a sharp point. This girl would use the nails like switchblades, and they did cut. I found out the reason the desk in front of her was empty was she had a habit of digging her nails into anyone who annoyed her, and breathing, at least mine, annoyed her. On about the third day, while the teacher was next door, she decided that she was going to assert dominance and grabbed my forearm with nails digging in hard enough to draw blood. I looked at her with absolutely no expression for about 30 seconds and then said, very deadpan, "You know, you're getting blood under your nails." She recoiled and let go, not saying anything, but I wasn't physically bullied at that school again, although growing 12 inches in 12 months probably helped. That sounds painful. A foot in a year sounds painful. Next, we have Am I the Jerk? And it is entitled AITJ for confronting my neighbor about his son's tearing up my lawn with dirt bikes, only for him to pull the I'm a cop card and still refuse to stop them. I'm sorry, sir, that's trespassing. No, you're not the jerk. I, 21 male, live in a very quiet suburban neighborhood where people mostly keep to themselves. I've spent the last year fixing up my front lawn after it was in rough shape when I moved in. Now we know why it was in rough shape, don't we? A couple of months ago, my neighbor's teenager sons, 14 to 16, started riding dirt bikes around the street. At first, it was just noise, but then I started noticing tire tracks cutting across my yard. Eventually, I caught them doing it on purpose, using my yard as a shortcut while turning. I went to their dad and calmly explained the damage, and he says, "Relax, I'm a cop. I know how this works." Do you, sir? Cops are notorious for not really knowing the law. They're just there for enforcement and for taking people to jail. That's the part that really gets me, like, what does he even have to do with my lawn getting destroyed? Like, it was supposed to shut me up or make him untouchable, like the rules don't apply to him or his kids. If anything, that should have meant he understood the boundaries better, not used as an excuse to ignore them. Last week, after they tore deep ruts through the wet ground near my walkway again, I documented everything and reported it through the HOA and proper channels. Turns out the bikes weren't even allowed for that kind of use, and once it got flagged, the situation escalated fast. Fines were issued, and they were warned about possible impound if it continued. The riding stopped almost immediately after that. And if I'm being honest, that part hasn't sat right with me either. Knowing he's a cop has access to firearms made the whole situation feel more intimidating than it should have. Yeah, that is another issue, isn't it? I didn't want to escalate things in person because it felt like I was already learning his position to push back, and that added to this weird layer where I had to think twice about every interaction. I shouldn't have to feel uneasy just asking someone to keep their kids off my property, but that's exactly what it turned into. um, Dark Conic says report him to his supervisors. Why? They're not going to do anything. Next, we have signs with a story, and it says it's entitled "Slandering This Fine Young Gentleman." This is Tigger. Tigger has decided he is the ambassador of New Horizons Dental. Tigger is mistaken. Tigger was not elected or appointed to this role. Tigger is not employed by New Horizons Dental. Tigger is generally very friendly, will nip at you if you try to pick him up. Please don't let Tigger in the building, no matter how much he tries to persuade you. Please watch out for Tigger in the parking lot. Poor little Tigger. He just wants to be he just wants to be a dentist. He just wants to be a dentist. Emergency purpose says, God forbid any young man try to show initiative. Second top rated comment is from Do Not Freeze, and it's not Tigger who's mistaken. New Horizons Dental does not seem to understand the process by which a cat becomes the occupant of the premises. And Digital Unlimited answers with r/cat distribution system. Their top rated comment is Johnny Karate, and he says, "Go get the job you want, even if they say no." And just here for the cookies answers r/cats with jobs. So many cats. All right, expectation versus reality. Cake I ordered versus the cake I got. This is apparently for Noah without an H. See, no H. There should be an H there. That's how you spell Noah. This is not how you spell Noah. That is super cute. Let's cross our fingers and hope for the best. Oh, that's actually really cute. Now, were the other ones figurines? Yes, they were. So, or were they? No, those look like marzipan, but that's okay. As long as it looks like you want it to look like. Yeah, can I get? 'Cause these are figurines, they're not marzipan. They're shinier than they would be if they were marzipan. That is super cute. They did a really good job. My son asked for a rainbow bluey cake, and when we were scrolling through pictures, he saw this one and really liked it. It showed our baker and said, "Leave off the figurines and the flowers on top." And I think she did a great job. Okay, so it was exactly what they wanted. Cool. Soul Forge says looks great. um, Pee Pee Poo Poo Boo says I was going to be uh, com- uh, pissed if you complained about this one. This is funny. George says, "What do you mean they spelled no with a J?" Mong says the J is silent. Kiwi Leak says Julian Unchanged with a D at the beginning of it. Illustrious Next says people need to put what they paid in the title before any judgments can be made, in my opinion. OP says, fair enough, I paid $50 for this. Oh, that's cheap. That's a deal. All right. If you haven't already, please like, subscribe, and turn on your notifications. I try to go live at least 4 times a week, but it will be 3 during the summer, starting after Memorial Day until Labor Day. Usually about 12 noon Eastern. Today was a little early. That's okay. I'm doing this for fun. It's not a job. So you can deal with it. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your worst enemies, tell your best enemies, tell your neighbors. Tell the neighbor that, tell your HOA's president. If you have a story of your own or come across a good one in the wild, please send us an email entitled submission. If you would like an email link to the day's current live, send an email entitled subscribe, or my socials are in the description below. You can go there, add me, and I post on those if I can. Like, I can't really post on Instagram because they want a picture. I don't have a picture. Sorry. And I don't really post on Reddit. I don't have a Reddit. There's another one I don't post on. Which one is it? Oops, I don't want that. No. I've hit the wrong button. I almost lost y'all. Instagram wants a picture, so I don't do there, but I do Threads. I do X, Blue Sky, and Substack. I don't do Substack. No, I do Substack and Tumblr. I feel like there's another one that I'm not seeing there. Why is that? Oh, it's Facebook. I do Facebook. I don't know why it's not in the right folder. Hold on. I'm going to fix that now because I will forget again. Okay. It's back in its right proper space. Don't know why that did that. All right. Oh, the email is biddybrunchbunch, all one word, at gmail.com. The email address is also in the description, along with all the socials. Next, we have our real estate section, and it is entitled 1889 Tiny Bake Converted to a Modest Home. This is in Monroe, Virginia. It is $285,000, 3 bedrooms, 3 baths, and 1,503 square feet. And what is that there? I don't like that. It's not right there. A second. I don't like that. It's got the floor plans on the side. I don't like it. I do not like it. Where is my... Can't find my trigger. Don't like this. Why is this like this? Well, I guess this tells you. Interesting. Okay. Doorway outside. A lovely view. I'd rather look at that than another house, to be honest. Nice small kitchen, but nice. I'm not a fan of the white, you know that. But on my house, not my problem. I picked a weird time of the day to take pictures. I mean, it's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. No, that's telling you where the pictures are taken from. Is this going to be a thing now? What is going on with that dishwasher? Oh, interesting place for a microwave. Does not have a lot of storage in the kitchen. So I don't think you better not like cooking. This is, what is this? This is a bedroom upstairs. It's a giant bedroom, and you have to go through that bedroom to get to the other bedroom. That's an old house thing. And it's not even closed off from the downstairs. This is a house where you don't have anybody else living with you. Well, that's the bathroom, not the bedroom. I can't read this tiny print. Is this a one-bedroom house? That's a tiny house. The weird bathroom with the going back. Weird bathroom with the sink turned the other way. Must be tiny, tiny, tiny. Like the door opens out into the hallway. Which is not ideal. This is back to the first floor. I can't see the room, so sorry. This must be the back of the house. There's, oh no, this is another area in the front. Yes, another area in the front. Nice bathroom. I gotta admit that. That's a nice bathroom. Brick, but they painted over the brick. Never good. Brick does not take to paint well. Or paint does not take to brick well. This was the post office at one time, though. So that's kind of cool. Okay, that's all we got. Floor plan. Oh, so there are 3 bedrooms downstairs with the kitchen, the dining room, and the living room. And the other one is just a big bedroom upstairs. Okay. I think we got it all now. 3 bedroom, 3 bath. Doesn't look 3 bedroom? 4 bedrooms? Hold on. 3. There. No, this is a 4 bedroom. Oh no, that's a bathroom. I cannot read today. Clearly, I am having issues. Built in 1889. It's 5,227 square feet. That's big. It's pretty big. Let's see if there's anything significant. Bedrooms are fairly big. There's one that's only 9 feet long, but it's 14 feet wide. Or vice versa. I don't know how that goes. Forced electric air with a heat pump. Where is this in Virginia, right? I guess that would be okay. Dishwasher, microwave, electric range, refrigerator, electric water heater. You'd have to watch on the microwave because it has one space for it, unless you convert that into something else, put it on the counter or something. Dryer hookup, main level, washer hookup. Nothing. It's got a crawl space and dirt floor in the crawl space, no attic. It does have off-street parking. It doesn't say how many spaces you get. It's brick, stucco, and a shingle roof. Holy cow, the taxes are only $275. Holy cow. That's nothing. Jeez. Virginia, raise your taxes. Oh my goodness. That's insanity. Originally built in 1889 as the Bank of Monroe, Virginia. The bank operated until 1929, and then it was shuttered. Some accounts on the link the closure to the Great Depression. Doubt that. But news articles detail the trial of a former teller for embezzlement, and that doesn't feel unrelated. Yeah, no kidding. In 1936, an ad for restaurant equipment at the old Bank of Monroe suggests a short lived restaurant conversion. After that, the property largely disappears from records for more than 70 years until a purchase in 2004, followed by another in 2024. So, probably that's 70 years, probably somebody was living there. That was probably somebody who bought it when they were really young and lived there till they died. The exterior is striking. The facade is bank-like but miniature in scale. The rural setting is a contrast to more urban setting of most bank conversions. Um, there's one issue: no vault. I was just literally just thinking about where's the vault? I want the vault. Um, was really hoping to find one among the listing photos. $315,000. I think it was lower now. I'd say it was lower. Hold on. Yeah, so since this was posted, they cut the price. So now it's 285 instead of 315. Oh no, that's cool. An old Reddit link says it used to look like this, and they should restore this because this is cute as heck. I would have that as my front. That's nice. I like that. How do I go back? Where is it? Oh, I can just do this. Okay. Don't know what I'm doing. Dugap says it looks like every building in my tiny old town in rural Virginia. A lot of them have been tastefully restored lately. That's cool. So they said the basement's disturbing. You can see two doors on the side and another under the porch in the back. It's a crawl space though. Google Street View shows foundation cracks, rot, and water damage. I wonder if the flippers fix that or that's why it's so cheap. Manapan answers, hopefully there's no one buying a building built in the 1800s without getting an inspection. Exactly. Somebody says the taxes are less than what they spend on Reddit for a year. Next, we have Server Life and is entitled, I'm not 21 yet, but my birthday is tomorrow. Okay. And serves a table where this girl's birthday is the next day, so they were celebrating it today. I checked everyone's IDs, and a lot of them are 2004 babies. I checked birthday girl's ID, and she quickly says it's my birthday today. I usually check the year first, and then the month, and then the day. I ended with 2000. It ended with 2005, and the birthday was the next day. I checked my phone to be sure what day it was too. She started complaining, saying that she turns 21 tomorrow, and that she really wants a drink. Well, I'm sorry, you should have come tomorrow then, instead of today, because today is not your birthday. Tomorrow you'll be 21. Because I can get in trouble for serving you today, but I can't get in trouble for serving you tomorrow. I tell her, no, I can't serve you a drink because you're not 21. And she kept being persistent about it. Her boyfriend, I guess, asked if he can order her the drink for her. Well, now that you said that, I for sure can't sell the same drink because I have tables close by and any of them could be a cop. I tell them no again because I don't want to be fined $1,000 and lose my job. Yeah, no kidding. They left me nothing, but it was fine because I expected it after I refused them to give them a drink. Wizard says, I would love to serve you, but legally I could be in a lot of trouble, so sorry, no. Anti-Frizzle answers, I would remove the I would love to serve you part because I don't like being dishonest. Specific Praline is the second top rated comment, and she says, I'm 37 and I remember the night before my 21st birthday. It was my of age friends local, and he asked them if I could get a drink. He didn't harass or anything. He just kind of jokingly asked, and the bartender thought they were BSing, so he checked my ID. She said no, but chatted with us some. It was like 10 p.m. and asked me what I'd like to drink and so on. At midnight, she brought me a shot of tequila and this enormous, ridiculous, tasty drink on the house. And her and the other bartenders clapped and cheered and made a big scene. It was so awesome. That's how you do it. Like, I can serve you. Are you going to be here till midnight? I'll be happy to bring you a drink at midnight. That's cool. Confession. Not safe for work. So be warned, it starts now. Uh, it's not inappropriate, but it is gross. I found my father rotting and now I can't stop thinking about it. Well, no crap. He overdosed and there wasn't anyone with him for a few days. When I broke the door open, his fluids were leaking out through the couch on the floor and he was all swollen. He fought drug addiction for years despite all the support and would commonly stop communicating with anyone when he would go on his binges. The smell of rotting flesh is something I'll never forget. Whenever I see a funeral or memorial, it saddens me with deep depression, knowing he didn't receive any of that due to his decomposed state. Immediate burial, the smell was coming out of his casket as well. I told the therapist about this and they truly don't know what to say. Well, yeah, because that's awful. Edit for the comments showing similar experiences. I hope you find the love and peace you deserve, and I hope the rest of life is kind to you. Hugs to you all. I recently had somebody I know find their loved one in the house. Luckily, I don't think it was quite that bad, but still. Blasted Concept says, not saying I know how you feel, but I get it. My dad was dying of cancer, and the last memory I have of him is when I woke up in the middle of the night and helped him to the restroom, and while on the toilet, his body just gave up. He started spitting bile out of his nose and mouth. He couldn't speak or communicate to me in any way. I was pleading for him to respond. I felt for his pulse, and I felt the moment it stopped. I was told he went into cardiac arrest. One of the worst parts was the smell of the bile. It was like his body had been running from the inside out, and the smell was just awful. It filled up the entire house and was all over me. I smelled it for days. Every once in a while, I get a whiff of that same smell, and I know it's not there. The PTSD is real. I'm sorry for your loss, but it does get better. I am so glad I cannot smell things in my brain. Aphantasia has its advantages. That's probably different than aphantasia, but it's the same concept. Only thing in my brain, in my own voice. We were talking about that yesterday with my husband, and he said, "Oh, I think we were watching a comedian. I forgot her name offhand." Um, but she said she heard a voice in her head, and it was giving her advice, and she was fighting it. And it took her therapist to go, "That's you." She's talking to yourself. That's your inner monologue. You can listen to it. It's okay. It'll give you good advice. Oh, it was funny. She was really funny. We watched that right before bed. So right before bed was good time. I'm not reading more of that. It's too depressing. Sorry. Let's go on to something more pleasant. Gorillas is using sign language to tell he's not hungry, not allowed to be fed by visitors. Hold on. What are we doing here? Oh, I guess it's a GIF. It says, nope, you can't feed me. Not allowed to feed me. Good gorilla. What a good boy. Expert Persimmon says, I love the no head shake. Somebody says it's accurate. And there's a lot, probably taught. They are taught to do that. They can communicate if they're taught to. They don't have a language of their own that we know of. Fuzzy Kitty says, I had an anthropology professor who worked with an orangutan and raised him as a human child for a while and would take him some time to get ice cream, teaching him how transactions with money worked. Unfortunately, as he got older, he learned how to get out of his room and onto the college campus, and it scared people, so their study ended and he got taken away. Eventually, he ended up in a zoo nearby, and the professor would visit as often as she could, and he would sign her wanting ice cream and saying, "Mom, I want to go home." Though as time went on, his signs got sloppier since he didn't get to practice. Still, he would sign. Sadly, he passed away in his 30s from a heart attack, and that was named Shantik. The orangutan was Shantik, and you can look that up at Chantek. Miserable Zombie says sometimes it really feels like they chose this life just to dodge taxes. They're too intelligent. In 1631, a Dutch physician reported that Malays had informed him the orangutan could talk, but preferred not to, lest he be compelled to labor. Oh. Next is Emma the A-hole, and is entitled "Emma the A-hole for ruining my daughter-in-law's birth plan." Yes, probably. Although it says not, but maybe. I make my own decisions. I need some opinions on this. My son and daughter-in-law are staying with me at the moment. Their house is being fixed due to a flooding issue that happened about a week ago. Fire hydrant broke and flooded the houses near it. Due to this, their home needs some of the floors replaced, and it's not safe for them to be there while the contractors deal with the damage. People get their floors replaced all the time with living in the house with contractors. It's not all that. So I don't know. It seems already fishy. My daughter-in-law is supposed to give birth to her first kid at the beginning of next month, and their home will not be fixed in time. They have been staying with me and set up a little nursery in the guest bedroom. My home is not big. I downsized years ago, so I live in a two-bedroom, one-bathroom home. I learned this weekend that she was planning on having a water birth at home and a midwife. No, you're not doing that in my house. Sorry, your plans got screwed up, but no. I thought she was going to the hospital, but apparently that wasn't the plan. She plans to have the kid basically in a blown up pool that goes in the house. The only two places that will fit are the living room or if I move my bed in the master bedroom. I thought about it and I'm not comfortable with that happening in my home. And I told her today, and she's pissed. Of course she is. We got into an argument. She's mad that I ruined her birth plan. No, take that with the fire department because the fire hydrant broke and ruined your birth plan, honey. You can't blame somebody else for that. My son wants me to apologize, and I have it here. Again, I'm against it. I don't want her giving birth in my living room. I don't blame you. Your house, your rules. NTA, absolutely not. She should go to a hospital. A lot of hospitals have birthing tubs too, and she should look into it. That's true. They do. Collateral Kite says, agree NTA. Infant birth deaths have been declining because of modern medicine available at hospitals. Actually, that's not true. It's not. That's not completely accurate. In the US, it does. But there are other countries that do not routinely send women to the hospital to give birth, and they have uh, um, very high infant survivability, very low infant mortality, shall we say. They send, if you haven't watched The Midwife on, oh shoot, I can't remember. It's on a lot of stuff. Used to be on Netflix. I don't have Netflix anymore, so I don't know if it's still on there. I think PBS might have had it on. But if you watch that, you'll see how that works. Um, they have nurse midwives, and they go to the houses, and I believe this still is a thing. Um, and if there's complications, then they call in a doctor. If there's bad complications, they go to the hospital. But they have better outcomes than we do. Our hospitals are not all that in the U.S. Okay, perspective answers. The U.S. actually has some of the worst mother-infant mortality rates in the modernized countries. I'm generally against home birth, but I have also given birth in a hospital 4 times and had some of the worst experiences and neglectful providers. Uh, as has my daughter-in-law, every woman I know, and we aren't demanding people with long We weren't demanding people with long birth plans. I can see the appeal of not going to a hospital because women's healthcare is a joke. 100%. So many answers. This may be true, but you can't just set up birthing tub in someone else's house. Exactly. She could be in labor for days. My one and only labor is 44 hours. Oh, you poor thing. My shortest one was 24, so I can relate. How is anyone supposed to live there like that? And my mom graciously is putting them up in her small place too. They need to accept this or find a hotel that will. Or she can go to the hospital and have her baby there. Big Sky user is the second top rated comment. And he says, NTA, your property and home. Also, it would be good for your daughter in law to note that her birth plan was not ruined by you, but rather whomever failed to maintain the fire hydrant and force them out of their home. Exactly. 100%. Uh, I've been thinking too much, says, and the baby doesn't know the birth plan. Crap happens, go to the hospital. And Gabby says, birth plan, babies laugh at birth plans. And that is 100% true. All of mine did. All three of them laughed at my birth plan. You little pieces of love. Gardner says, as a former newborn ICU nurse, I can tell you birth plans often don't go as planned. It's one thing for a parent to take responsibility for having a home birth in their own home or birthing center. It's something else completely to ask you to do it in someone else's home. Exactly. What happens is that if something goes wrong and the neonate passes in your home, how will you deal with the memories in your own home? Will any family ever want to visit your home? Also, is there any liability with your homeowner's insurance since you will be giving your permission for it to happen? I honestly don't wish. I honestly wish more parents would worry about the health of their child and not focus on the birth plan, which is ultimately for the mother. Thanks for reading my TED Talk. Fight those bastards says, my wife's written birth plan was baby and I go home alive. Do whatever it takes to make that happen. Yeah. I don't work here, lady is entitled an accidental self-inflicted. That makes no sense. An accidental self-inflicted what? I got a call from my wife on the way home from work last night that she didn't have enough bananas for her banana pudding and asked if I could run to the grocery store to get some for her before getting home. No problem. I immediately found a spot to park. I immediately grabbed bananas. Okay, so we're immediately doing two things at one time. Because she did them immediately, both at the same time. That sounds wild. And then walked back to the front of the store. It wasn't extremely busy, but it was a good flow of foot traffic in most aisles. Honestly, this guy did not know how to run a store. When I got to the front, I was confused because there was a line about 7 people in front of me to check out. I looked around and didn't spot any cash register open, so I assumed they were short-staffed and started to scroll on my phone. A few minutes passed and I finally made it to the front of the line, only to realize it wasn't even a checkout line. It was a line of overnight stalkers coming into work to scan their badge to clock in. Okay, you are just dumb. I'm sorry. So I'm at the front of this line holding bananas like an idiot, staring back at the ID scanner with multiple employees behind me waiting for their turn. I thought about dropping the bananas and just running to my car, but I quietly owned it, walked over to a self checkout, got into my car, and drove home in silence. So you didn't even check the bananas out and pay for them? I won't be back in there for a while. Sam One says, at any point did you use the bananas to measure the scale of your embarrassment? Oh, that's excellent. I see why it's the first. I see why it's the first top-rated comment. I mean, Strauss says they, the stock crew, were in shock that a customer didn't put the Karen's entitlement card. They will be talking about you for a month in a good way. I hope so. And Chili Shakes says, Chicago theater people, this one's messy in the best way. Next we have Overheard, entitled M&Ms. Overheard an EMT on the phone in the snack section of the supermarket. Bro looked exhausted. I'll be home soon just buying M&Ms. It's my cheat day, though. M&Ms are allowed. I mean, technically my cheat day can literally be any day. This week it just all happens to be today. Babe, it's been a long day. Let me get the wing. Let me winging cheat. I know there are help options, honey, but I'm in healthcare. Do you know what I have to do to stay in healthcare? Remove toys from people's butts. Those kind of toys. Today, unlucky ass belonged to a 49-year-old man. Dude missed his late wife so much he attempted to wang himself. Her toys. Now, do you want me to tell you how I got it out, or can we skip to the part where you approve of me buying the M&Ms? You little freak! I'll tell you at home while eating M&Ms. I feel sorry for the 49-year-old man who missed his wife. That's really sad. That's really funny. People do use their backsides for inappropriate things all the time. Cheetah Fangirl says, first I was annoyed because what right does their partner have to tell them they can't have M&Ms after a rough day? But the last sentence made me chuckle and realize it wasn't anything serious. Oh, that's funny. Stunning Planner says, let me wanging cheat hit my in my soul. People don't realize that when you spend 12 hours scraping humans off payment or playing fishing for silicone, your brain stops registering healthy versus unhealthy. It only registers serotonin versus no serotonin. Give that man his M&Ms and a nap. No kidding. uh, Fire FFW, which I assume means firefighter wife, says same here. Married to an FF firefighter. When they're coming off shift, they say they're exhausted and then they get whatever they want, no questions asked. You never know why they're exhausted. It could be silicone or humans plastered to pavement. Yep. Raptor says, as a healthcare worker who married another healthcare worker, I approve. And also, M&Ms in and of themselves are not unhealthy. Everybody needs a treat once in a while. They're chocolate. It's fine. As long as you don't overindulge. Obviously, overindulging over here. Okay. Overindulging in a main way. Next, we have True off of my chest, which is not safe for work. So, another warning. Um, I was strip searched at an airport, humiliated, and taken pictures of. Absolutely no one believes me. And this is content warning for sexual assault. I'm a 27 female. And some time ago, I stopped at the DXB airport. I don't know, as I was entering. Passport control, which I had to go through instead of the regular gates due to my business visa, looked at me for some time, and they obviously profiled me due to multiple tattoos on my neck, arms, and face. They began asking me questions like, where are the rest of your tattoos and how many do you have? Who cares? What's that got to do with anything? I had to part my hair for them to take a picture of my tattoos. Most of them are geometric, no offensive images or text. I waited for an hour and then they inspected my phone for the sake of security. They looked through everything for several minutes and ended up finding a nude. One single nude I had sent to my boyfriend for 4 years. This made everything so much worse. I was taken into secondary strip searched by several guys, mocked and humiliated. I was laughed at, taken pictures of. One guy got violent with me and assaulted me. I've tried to share my story on Reddit previously. It always gets deleted. None of my business associates believe me under the excuse of, well, I have many tattoos and I've lived here for many years, no problem. At one point, I tried going to discuss this with the media and they laughed it off. Didn't believe me either. I've lost all hope and I don't want to talk to anyone. Don't want to talk to anyone about it. Absolutely no one believed me except my boyfriend. This is why people don't tell. This is why girls don't tell. I just wanted to share this here. Maybe you believe me, maybe you don't. I decided against therapy due to the fear of not being believed, and maybe that's why I want to write about it here. Mara says, I believe you. So many places are not safe for women. Please talk to a professional if you need to. A little over a year ago, someone I love and trusted filed a false complaint about me, some kind of mental health crisis. It was really serious what she claimed, enough that while I was walking the dog, a top cop took me down from behind and I was hurt and humiliated. They made a real show of it. I was so embarrassed I haven't been able to talk to anyone, and I'm really already screwed up in the head now. I feel like I'm being followed. Everything I do is suspicious. My friend apologized, though I lost so much money in legal fees. It would be some time before I get therapy. I know I need to. I have empathy and I really messes you up. Being handcuffed and having armed men with complete power over you is crazy. I'm also a young woman. The police were from a culture that doesn't respect women either. Um, Lolop says, "Have you tried making a TikTok about it?" That's where to go for this. I bet this can go viral and it will pick up pretty quickly. Street Chaos says, I don't think Westerners understand how good they've got it. Most of the world has a different culture. A female travel vlogger went to India alone and had to move her dresser against the door because the hotel clerk had a key, and he and his friend were trying to bust her door to get to her. Yikes. This is why I go with my husband, or my daughter and I go together, or my husband and daughter and her son-in-law all go together. The other, she can't afford to travel as much, so it's sad. But my older son had a really good year this year, a really good year last year, and having a really good year this year. So, and he also bought a camper, so now he can travel a little bit. What do? I accidentally ruined my boyfriend's favorite cup. How do I fix this? You can't. I messed up. I threw this plastic cup in the dishwater, not knowing it would warp so bad. He said it was fine. I could tell in his eyes it really wasn't. Thanks in advance. You followed directions on the cup. Admiral McNutt says, take your boyfriend to Rainforest Cafe ASAP. Retire this cup as a pen holder or something cute and take him to get a new one. Yes, exactly. And get one that can go in the dishwasher. Or you can get one from eBay, apparently. Um, yeah, that does not look like a cup that can go in the dishwasher. Know your cups. $17 for a new one on eBay. Aware Instant says, you seem like a good girlfriend. Don't worry, mistakes happen. The fact that you're trying to make up for it is very cute. Next is, oh no, consequences. Entitled, fraudulent paperwork doesn't help. I used to work in traffic court and we'd have what we called frequent flyers. Yeah, some people just can't keep their feet off the pedals. Okay. Newbie. It would always be the same people with the same violations that never learned their lesson. Then there was this whole other level of frequent flyers that were so bad that they were, then there was a whole other level of frequent flyers that were so bad we never wanted to see them because they were always arrogant, impatient, and entitled. That there was extra words in there. I think they started typing something and then changed it and then never went back and edited it. It's okay. They felt they were above the law and thought driving safely was a joke. One woman we dealt with for several months was named Tina. She had 4 cases under appeal, all speeding, and 1 trial pending. She was in some sort of healthcare job that required a valid license, but also had a code of ethics for people in her profession to follow, which included not having multiple speeding violations on her driver's license in 1 year. Her driver's license was under review, and the 5th case would definitely suspend it. She visited us once a week regarding the appeals and status and insisted on only talking with my supervisor. According to Tina, the regular rank and file was not knowledgeable enough for her needs. She was super desperate because she was about to be let go from her job and possibly have her professional license yanked. Anytime she visited, she wasted tons of time and energy. She only wanted to talk to the supervisor, not because anybody was incompetent, but because she was. She knew that was the only person that could possibly help her because that's the only person that really has power. And hopefully they did not abuse that. She took the 5th case to trial. Her charges were for speeding and not having insurance in her possession. At the arraignment, the judge asked Tina for the insurance, but she said she forgot it and that she would bring it to the trial. About a month goes by and trial date comes for Tina. It did not go well for her. She had to pay a huge fine for speeding, and the judge denied her insurance. Altogether, it was about a $3,000 ticket. Of course, she took out her uncontainable wrath on the clerk who gave her the paperwork to sign and a bailiff that had to be called in to deal with her. She just needs to go to jail. She needs to learn a lesson. About 2 weeks later, I see a complaint filed for her from the DA. The insurance she tried to show the judge was fraudulent. Her insurance had been canceled prior to issuing the date of the ticket. Her record was so bad she couldn't get insurance, so she ended up lying about it. Wow, that's bad. After she gets served with a complaint, she ends up admitting it at arraignment that she falsified the insurance information. She ended up with about $2,000 in fine, a misdemeanor, and a work project commitment. She completely melted down when she was told her license was suspended for 6 months. All the work on the appeals to prevent license suspension went down the tubes because she thought she could be sneaky. She didn't count on the trial clerk verifying with the insurance company she listed. After the trial, she went from department to department, crying and looking for my supervisor. She was creating so much of a distraction that the bailiffs had to move her to the parking lot, where she sat and cried while she waited for her Uber because she can't drive no more. Her appeals ended up being denied, and her license ended up being suspended for 2 years altogether. We thankfully never saw her again. I assume she moved states and started her shenanigans elsewhere because I doubt she learned her lessons. The captain says, all that energy and effort and time, and she could have just not driven like a crazy person. Monster answers, agreed. Unfortunately, people like her never sees themselves as a problem. Scouter answers, if that school bus didn't stop to pick up children, none of this would have happened. Types. Remember when I broke my car last year? And I said that that truck just jumped in that parking space behind me. It didn't. I knew it was there. I knew it was there and I still hit it. Why? It was long. It was really long and I wasn't expecting that. And it was not having a good day. Acorn Anomaly is the second top rated comment, and they say, any chance the Kirk specifically went out of their way to verify all of the women's crap because she treated them like crap? Because that would make it even more hilarious. uh, Arucaria, I think it is, um, says, I'm in a different job, but if you wing around with me, I suddenly become the most rule-burst person you've ever met. No leeway, not even an inch. That's how it's done. Their top rated comment is from Alternate Design. And they say she probably drove, speeding, of course, the whole way to the new state without license or insurance. Another entitled twat allergic to responsibility. Yes. And a lot of times they get away with it, and that's the frustrating part. You do everything you're supposed to do, you get one little thing, and it's like the world ends, and then everybody else gets away with all kinds of stuff. It's ridiculous. It is mildly infuriating. No, it's not. It's infuriating. Next, we do have mildly infuriating, however. Boyfriend disinfected my monitor, and it does not look good. This is not what you're supposed to be doing. That is not how that's supposed to look at all. Why would you disinfect a monitor? You're not touching it. It's weird. Last night before going to bed, I noticed a spot of dust on my monitor. I said something along the lines of, I'll have to clean that when I wake up. My boyfriend decided he was going to be super helpful and clean the screen overnight. I woke to my monitor displaying this absolutely water-damaged mess when I turned it on. I asked him what he'd use, and he said he drenched the entire thing in cleaner. No, that's not how you do that. I had to teach him how to properly clean things before. Never in my life did I think I'd have to explain that technology shouldn't be drowned in disinfectant spray. No kidding. And there's just a bunch of memes of people cleaning computers and cars and shocked Pikachu hamsters and that one little girl that's now grown up. Parking Panda says someone in the house did that to our 70-inch theater room TV. Oh, I'd be so mad. Of course, those are cheap now. Have you seen how much the 70-inch TVs are now? Right now, they're less than $500. It's crazy. We took it off the wall to throw it out, tripped sideways. A blue liquid dripped out the corner, likely Windex. To this day, no one own up. Just last week, my mom destroyed the Vice and Stick vacuum by soaking it in the laundry sink. You know, the thing that's known for having power spin head thing. So I think I also know who broke the TV. Don't put electronics in water, people, ever. Not even if you don't have them plugged in. Next, we have Am I Overreacting? And is entitled AIO. Unmatching after he brings up how women are dramatic complainers and uses Mrs. Doubtfire as an example. Uh, Favorite is so hard. I love Titanic, E.T., Jurassic Park, Mrs. Doubtfire, Flubber. She's all that. 10 things I hate about you. He answers 10 things I hate about you is the best one from that group. Probably the epitomes of a 90s movie. Tremendous. Really should watch that. I don't think I've ever watched that. Uh, and he says, I love that movie too. She says, Miss Doubtfire gets me fire up. I don't like that movie. Sally Fields is the worst person in the world. No, she's not. They answer, OMG, why? She canceled What'd She Do? And yes, 10 things is iconic. No, I mean your character in that movie. Robin Williams is a good father who loves his kids, and she's just like, it's not good enough. It's not. You got to actually parent. And he learned to do that during that. Goes out with James Bond. Come on. Haha for James. She answers, hi ha for James Bond. From what I can remember, he was funny but immature. She wouldn't have to do all the boring housework and he wouldn't help. He didn't think of the future and was impulsive and dismissive of her feelings. I think they might have gotten back together though at the end. And he says, yeah, exactly. You know how much worse that could be? Women have the superpower of finding a problem where there ain't one and then posting ad hoc rationalization why they made up that BS. No. You know he's a good father if all the kids love and care about him. Yes, but he also has to be a good husband as well as a good father. She forces him to dress like grandma just to spend time with his own kids. She didn't force him to do anything. He did that on his own. Just because it worked doesn't mean it. And he didn't have a job. She says, are you joking or being sarcastic? He says, no, that's the plot of that movie. And she says, awkward. So are you saying women complain too much? And he says, have you ever spent time with one? Cringe. Um, and he says, does this really offend you? It's kind of crazy. She says, you know, I'm a woman and this is a dating app. And he gives a laugh emoji and says, go on. And she says, in the first few mention, you mentioned how women make up stuff to complain about. Uh, yes, they 100% do. This has been my lived experience with more than one. If there was an Olympics for gold, they'd win. Wow. She says, that's not your reaction to character in a movie that bothers me. It's the fact that you obviously have some issues to work through with your past experiences, screaming resentment. How can you expect to find someone when you are assuming the worst of the entire gender before you even meet? Also, in the movie, even Robin Williams realizes in the end how he fell short of being a good husband and dad. I wish you the best sincerely. And he says, well, you're psychoanalyzing me. You're very sensitive. She's sensitive. Have you met yourself, sir? Summary comment is from Deleted, and they say, if you can't understand the basic message behind Miss Doubtfire, he's not the one. Adventurous Ad says he doesn't understand that psychoanalyzing is one word. The guy is a walking deal breaker. Grace off the North says, you're too sensitive, says the guy crashing out over a movie. Both conditions, a second type-rated comment. And she says, have you ever spent time with one? Have you ever spent time with a woman? Is the thing he asked a woman? I don't know if this guy is smart enough to tie his own shoes on his own date. Pyrocidal says, my dad, every single time he gets cut off in traffic, my entire life immediately goes, arg, must be a woman. My dad to his daughter, who he taught how to drive. Like, bro, why? Deleted says, NOR, he sounds like a prick. And Xanthe Curie says, incel vibes. Unmatched was wise. This guy is literally, excuse me, saying women mix things up to complain about. What does that say about him? It means women have tried to communicate how he was hurting them, and he refused to listen and assumed they were picking on him. And while Wild, he thought the mom was the bad guy in that movie. She literally came home to a zoo after her husband randomly quit his job without conversation and didn't talk to her. I'd lost my crap too. Yeah, and that was the final straw. That wasn't where that began. Next, we have Best of Redditor updates, and it is entitled, I, 49 male, need advice on how to apologize to my son, 27 male, for kicking him out for being gay. And this was originally posted to relationships. Original post May 14th, 2016. So I'm new to this sub, but I recently used a throwaway because I'm embarrassed about what I did to my son. 11 years ago, so when he was 16, I was a very conservative Christian. I was the type who would go to church with my family every Sunday and actually look forward to going. If you would have told me I would consider myself an atheist in the future, I would laugh in your face. I'm not proud of the man I used to be, but at the time I really thought I was being the best person I could by living as a Christian and following God's rules. Oh, my hips hurt. My son was outed when he was 16, and I reacted the way you expect a conservative Christian father to react, with hate and anger. Why do people get mad and angry about this? Like, people can't, I don't know, people can't choose that. It's not something they're doing on purpose to you, you absolute jerk. um, at the time, I didn't think of it as hate, though. I thought of myself as a good Christian and loving father for being so upset that my son had chosen a sinful lifestyle. I forced him to go to counseling, but it didn't work. Duh. Duh. Like so much duh. I know now that's because it never works, but at the time I blamed my son for not trying hard enough. I eventually kicked him out of the house because I couldn't have him there as a bad influence on his younger brothers and sisters. I never contacted him again, and he never contacted me or anyone else in our family. His mother died 2 years later, and because of the way she died, I started to question my faith. I started researching Christianity and science on my own and eventually stopped going to church. I gradually became less conservative and now consider myself an atheist. I've been thinking a lot about my son the last couple of years. I feel so horrible for the way I treated him and for forcing him to live on his own as a 16-year-old. You're a horrible father. I'm glad you have changed, but that does not dismiss you for being a horrible father to your son. You have a lot of making up to do, dude. Every time I think about him, I feel like crying, and to be honest, I've shed a few tears while writing this. There's nothing I can do or say to make up for what I did, but I found his address online and I also found his Facebook profile. When I started looking him up, I was scared to death of what I'd find, but it looks like he's doing good. Thank goodness. This poor kid. I've been thinking a lot about how I should contact him and even if I should. Yes, you should. Yes, you should. If you've changed, you should. I'm so worried about how he'll react that I've even written him about 15 letters and never actually sent them. Send him all of them. Send him all of them. I think that's the best way to go about it, sending a letter. But every time I write one and read it afterwards, I just imagine him reading it and throwing it in the garbage and chicken out and throw it away myself. I haven't talked to my other kids about him, and they've never brought him up. And I feel like I should keep them out of this until I actually find out if he wants to have any contact with us. Okay. Reluctant green flag for that. Reluctant. I just need advice on how to actually send the letter and what to write and if I should even send it. I would say no. Like, send a letter saying you want to talk, but nothing else. Edit. I just wanted to add thank you for all the great advice. I know if you think I come across as expecting him to forgive me and have a relationship with me straight away, it's not the case. It doesn't seem like that to me. It's like I want to reach out to him to see if we can, but I would completely understand if he doesn't want anything to do with me. That's how that comes across to me. I'm very much aware that the chance of him ever wanting any contact with me is never wanting any contact with me is pretty high, but I'm not sending the letter just because I want to possibly have him in my life again. I feel like he deserves to hear that I know that what I did was wrong and he deserves an apology. I mean, seriously, this guy, where did he come from? Where did he come from out of that? What he does with the information in the letter is his choice, and whatever choice he makes will be accepted and respected by me. I've called my other kids and invited them to dinner tomorrow so that I can tell them about their brother and the letter. I'm very nervous about it, but it has to be done sooner or later rather than later. Relevant comments. Commenter number 1. Oh, that's so hard. I think any letter you send should include the following: complete apology with zero qualifications. Yeah, don't say I'm sorry, but I was under the influence of, blah 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 blah. No. I'm sorry. I was wrong. I was completely and totally wrong, and you did not deserve that in any way, shape, or form. That's how you apologize. Acknowledge that you have done Acknowledge that you have done him a terrible wrong and that he is under no obligation to forgive you. You desire to be back in his life on his terms, his schedule. Your willingness to facilitate a relationship with your other children that is not dependent on your son's relationship with you, in case your son wants to see his siblings but not you. That's also true. And then leave the door open for him to take the next step. OOP says, I've written the same letter a million times, but I would love to get some objective thoughts on it because every time I read through it, it never seems like enough. And we have an example of one of the letters. Lucas, I don't even know where to begin when I write this letter. I have written it many times, but it never seems good enough to send to you. The first thing I have to apologize for is not telling you your mother died. She was diagnosed with ALS and passed away 9 years ago. I never contacted you to let her know that she died, and I don't know if anyone else in our family did. Either way, I'm sorry for not telling you and robbing you of the chance to say goodbye to your mother. Your mother's death was extremely difficult for all of us and made me start question my faith. Everyone at our church helped our family go through her death, but I still had a lot of questions, so I started doing research on our own, on our religion and science. And after a while, I realized I couldn't continue following the Word of God the way I was brought up to. It might be very hard for you to believe, but I no longer consider myself religious. Which brings me to how I treated you. At the time, I did what I thought was right for our family and you, but that does not change the fact that what I did was unforgivable. Not only did I kick you out when you really needed our love and support, but I made you go through counseling, which I learned is closer to torture than actual counseling. I don't know what you did once you left home, but it truly breaks my heart to think of the things that you might have done to survive. No one on earth deserves to go through what you've been put through because of me, and I want you to know that I'm sorry for what I've put you through. I completely understand if you never want to hear from me again, but I had to send this letter to you to know that if you want me in your life, I'm here whenever you're ready in any way that you want. If you just want to contact with your brothers and sisters, that's fine. If it takes you years to talk to me, that's fine. If you never want any contact with me, that's fine. Of course, I want to be part of your life again, but that's not something you want. I completely understand. There's no excuse for what I've done, and even if you were able to forgive me, I don't think I can forgive myself. I've known I should have sent this letter for years, but I've not been too ashamed of myself to send it. I hope you feel no obligation to contact me. I'm only sending this letter so that you know that I'm here for you if you want. I love you so much and I'll do whatever you want to make it up for what I've done, even if that means never reaching out to you again. Signed Dad. It should be signed to Love Dad. I think I have to tell his brothers and sisters about this before sending the letters, and if they want, I'll include their contact information so he doesn't have to go through me to reach out to them. That's and another green flag for this guy. Commenter number 2. I'm about your son's age now, and I haven't had a relationship with my family since I was 21, and it was incredibly painful and difficult, but I'm also doing pretty well now, and it made me who I am. Even now, my parents send me genuine, true apologies with no qualifications, said they understood if they never took back the pain they caused, but wanted to know if there was anything they could do, anything at all, that would make it up for even a little. I would be overjoyed. Well, first I'd be furious. I'd probably yell at them, tell them they have some gall to make amends now after they failed me. But if they let me yell and rage and told me to get it out, and they knew that they deserved it and still just expressed contrition and desire to be there for me on my own terms, I would take a great deal of time and a lot of yelling and tears, but eventually maybe something could grow from there. I think you should write your son and tell him everything you told us and make sure to focus on his feelings and experiences. Make sure that it is clear that everything would be on his terms. Maybe offer to pay for a session with a family therapist of his choice. And tell him that if he wants to spend the entire session just telling you how wanging angry he is, that's fine. You'll accept it. Anyway, I hope my perspective is useful. Please send the letter. Send more than one if you have to, and tell him you respect anything he says, but you need to make it clear how much you want to be in his life in whichever way he will make his life better. If when he gets angry or says something hurtful to you, be calm. Tell him you understand his angry. He's angry and hurting, and apologize again. OOP says, "Your perspective, very useful. Thank you. I've tried to imagine what he might feel or think if I send a letter a million times, but to actually read your thoughts on this is very eye-opening. I can handle him yelling at me if it means I get to see him again and hear his voice again. Commenter 3, a few things. Does he know his mom's dead? You need to make no excuses whatsoever or try and qualify your behavior. This is about him, not about you. Keeping this in mind, it still possibly is a huge source of pain for him. You getting in touch might upset him deeply. Is it worth it? Especially since he's in a good place. This may well have been extremely hard earned given what happened to him. What you're doing is fairly common technique for people who behaved as you did to lure the sinner back in and try and fix them again. He may be aware of this and believe this to be your motivation. Oh, yeah, that's a thing too. um, 100% use Facebook. Do not use his address. Knowing that you know his address might scare the crap out of him. Make contact with zero expectations. He's well within his rights to either ignore you or send you a very strong negative response. I'm sorry about your wife. I'm very sorry you find yourself in this situation with your boy. You're learning the you reap what you sow lesson the hardest way. Although I'm disgusted, I must say props to you for changing your mind on this and taking more positive path and outlook. You have no idea how rare you are, and I know that must have taken strength and a ruthless and painful analysis of your behavior to do so. I hope you find some peace on this issue either way. Oh, he says, I don't know if he knows about his mom dying. I never contacted him to tell him, and I don't know if anyone in our family did. Um, and then he quotes the source of pain thing. That's why I'm considering not contacting him at all. I don't know what he's been through because of what I did. I just realized I'm just released he's alive, but it's not uncommon for kids in that situation to live on the street and get themselves into a lot of trouble. If he's at a good place right now, I don't want him to have to relive everything he's been through. I feel like Facebook would be more invasive than a letter, maybe in this day and age. It's the opposite. Commenter 4. Out of curiosity, what are your other children's takes on this? Have they expressed any interest in reaching out to him? OP says we haven't talked about him in years. At the time, me and his mother told him he was kicked out because he chose a sinful life and there was nothing more we could do for him, and that he needed to find his way back to God on his own. We never said he was gay. Around the time I was starting to realize that what I'd done was wrong, one of the other kids asked about him while we were eating dinner, and I reacted badly and told them to never ask about him again. I feel guilty, and I felt guilty, and I knew they were pretty upset if they know why he was kicked out, so I couldn't bring myself to talk about it with them. I mean, that's fair. This family's going to need a lot of counseling too. I hope they're all in therapy. Company number 5. You may need to practice by coming clean with your kids at home first. You can't really humble yourself to your oldest child if you haven't faced the music at home. They need to know and process what you did to their eldest sibling. You're going to have to humble yourself in the most basic level to your children because you failed as a parent immensely. Yes. Hopefully, your children didn't inherit your religious zeal. You never mentioned how your wife felt about your actions before she passed, how she felt about you kicking your child out. OP says we made the decision together. I expected her to ask me to find him when she was dying so that she could say goodbye, but she never did. If I had just done it without waiting for her to ask, things might have been very different. Yeah, exactly. You should have done that. Commenter 6, I quoted, I eventually kicked him out of the house because of the bad influence thing. You know, we don't usually get much of a chance to ask people about decisions like this. So I'm going to ask, how did you reconcile that with Christianity? What part of the Bible says you can abandon your minor children just because they lead a sinful lifestyle? Presumably, you were aware of a Christian that everyone is an unrepentant sinner, yes? Why did you believe at the time the sin of homosexuality was somehow a category of its own? I'm an atheist now too, but even as a creationist evangelical Christian, I couldn't have countenanced the action you took, and I can't understand the Christian parent to believe that the God of the prodigal son wants them to abandon their children to the streets. What on earth were you thinking? And quoted, now 11 years later, I feel horrible for what I did. I want to contact him and apologize, but I can't get myself to send the letter. Do you deserve his forgiveness before you've even found the courage to ask for it? And obviously he says no. OP, I didn't want to seem like I'm defending myself, but I did what I can to explain the way we were thinking. At the time, I was sure being gay was a choice, and that if we were to let him stay in our house, our other children would think we were accepting of his choice to live in sin, and it would be easier for them to follow his footsteps. We also believed that we had given him all the help what we could, and there was nothing more we could do. He needed to hit rock bottom and find his way back to God on his own. We believed we were helping all of our children making that decision. I know it sounds ridiculous, but at the time it made perfect sense to us because you can talk yourself into anything. Update May 30th, 2016, over 2 weeks later. I just wanted to give you guys an update and also thank you for all the great advice and insight. It was really tough to read some more angry comments, but I understand why some of you were angry with me. What I did was horrible and unforgivable, and I was expecting a few angry comments. What did bother me a little bit, though, was everyone was saying that I only wanted to apologize to my son out of selfish reasons and wanted to guilt him into being my life again. It worried me that that was the impression I was giving some of you. That's not what I wanted at all. I love my son, and I just felt like he deserved an apology and a chance of having a relationship with his siblings, and that if he wanted me back in his life, I'm here now, even though I should have always been there for him. I wasn't expecting him to want to have contact with me again, but I wanted him to know it was an option if that's what he wanted. I invited my friends over, my friends. I'm gonna start that over. I invited my kids. I almost said friends again. Oh my god, your kids are not your friends. At least not until they're out of the house. I invited my kids over for dinner the day I posted here, and they all came. And I sat them down and told them the truth. It was a very painful conversation for all of us and lots of tears, but I was happy that the truth was finally out. They all wanted to send him letters as well, and we decided to send them together with our contact information. I don't know how to explain the feeling I had after we sent them. It was a mix of a lot of emotions and then waiting to see if he would reply to any of the letters. It was also a weird mix of emotions. I don't really know what to expect, but I couldn't help but hope that he would at least reply to one of us. Our family tried to eat dinner every Sunday. It's an old habit. Everyone can't always make it, but the Sunday after sending the letters, we were all together. No one had heard from him yet, which wasn't really surprising. We talked about how he probably needed time to process everything. It must be very bizarre and overwhelming to suddenly get an envelope full of letters from your estranged family. The doorbell rang while we were eating dinner, and my oldest daughter answered it. When she came back, we were all extremely shocked to see that the person at the door was my son. Now I'm going to cry. I can't help but cry when I'm writing this because it was just so emotional to see him standing there in front of me. Everybody got up to hug him, but I wasn't sure what to do, so I just sort of stood there with tears in my eyes. When his sibling let him go, he looked at me, and I was half expecting him to yell at me and half expecting him to punch me, but he just walked over and gave me a hug. I completely broke down and started to cry too. We all stood there crying for a minute before we were finally ready to actually talk. And we all talked for hours. There was no words to describe how it felt to see my son after all these years and hear him talk. I could listen to him all day. He said we couldn't figure out what to write in a letter or what to say on a phone call, so he just got in his car and drove there. It was really unexpected, but really wonderful. He told us about his life from the day he left, and it was very difficult to hear what he'd been through because of me, but I needed to hear it. Apparently, his aunt, my sister, had been in contact with him after he left. She told him about his mom dying, and she sent him money now and then. He's been through a lot, but he's doing really well now. After sitting and talking for a couple of hours, we went outside to just talk, just me and him. And long story short, he forgave me. He said that it'll take him a long time to really trust me again, but that he's been angry with me for years and he's tired of it and ready to start building a relationship again. He left after about an hour. He left about an hour after our conversation, and we all exchanged phone numbers, and his siblings added them on all their social media stuff. He lives about an hour and a half away, but said he'll let us know when he got time for another Sunday dinner. He sent me a couple of texts since then, and I couldn't be happier than I am right now. I know I don't deserve to be forgiven, and I don't deserve to have a relationship with my son, but I would be lying if I said that I didn't have a small hope that it would happen. I know that I have to be extremely respectful towards his wishes and let him take the lead with all of this. I told him to let me know if he felt we were being too pushy, that he's the best boss of the situation. We want to go. at the pace he feels comfortable at, and he's always welcome here whenever he feels like it. And I don't have Kleenex. Oh, yes, I do. Oh. I know I have to be extremely respectful towards his wishes and let him take the lead in all of this. I told him to let me know if he felt like we were being too pushy, and that's the best, and that he's the boss of this whole situation. We all want to go at the pace he feels comfortable with, and he's always welcome whenever he feels like it. So yeah, I'm extremely excited for the future and also incredibly grateful for all the advice you guys gave me. You really gave me the push I needed to tell my kids and send that letter. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you. Relevant comments. Commenter number one. Your sister is a saint, and you should also thank her as well for actually acting like family to your nephew. Yes, 100%. OP says, I went by her house the day after with flowers and cake as a thank you. I asked her how much money she sent him and offered to pay her back, but she refused. So I'll just get a really nice birthday present for the rest of her life. Downvoted comments. Why didn't you ask him to sit down for family with the dinner with the family? Who says he didn't? I did. He wasn't hungry though. We all sat in the dining room table and talked. Captain Delicious Pants is a top-rated comment. And they say, I'm grateful for my dad. When I told him I was bisexual, he says, oh, that's normal. Everybody's like that. Remember, you can still get STDs from girls. I know now. I know, and now my dad knows everyone isn't like that. I'm happy my dad and I got to come out to each other, even though he low-key outed my mom in the process. That's awesome. Everybody's like that. Everybody's like that. uh, Tyconal answers, that's a cute story, even if there's a well-meaning derp in it. I'm happy for your family. uh, Denial says, I hope they successfully reconnected and worked through all the pain caused by OOP. Yeah, I hope so too. I hope they get therapy, at least a little bit. They might not, need a lot of it. Seems to be going well. Pelagia says, I think one of the deepest needs and wishes of ours, if and when we are hurt by someone, is for our pain to be seen by that person, truly seen, truly acknowledged, truly recognized. If you can give this to a person who you have deeply hurt, is already quite a lot. It does not mean relationship will be mended or there will be even a relationship. No one owes and after that, after being that hurt. But I think that most people would still at least feel some relief for having their pain to be seen. And that in itself is valuable. Rainbow Crane answers, yeah, my brother is the one childhood abuser of mine in my family who gave an effective apology to me, boiled down to, I'm sorry for the things that I did to hurt you. Everything I did to you, someone else did to me first, and I thought that was what big brothers did. I'm sorry. It didn't come across as him using his being abused to avoid responsibility, more that as a shared acknowledgement that we grew up in a really abusive family. It's kind of nice to have the validation when so many family members live in denial. I appreciate that it's possible to be genuinely sorry while acknowledging that you did the best you knew how to do, and that acknowledging your failure would be a good human being is hard. But then you got to keep being a good human being. And that doesn't always happen. Wicked Roll says, my mom threw me out when I was 17, and a lot of why finally, decades later, with no contact with her was because she always insisted that was the best for both of us. No, mom, I was homeless and doing all kinds of crap for food money and a warm bed, and you were having an affair and traveling internationally. If she ever apologized in any way, it would have meant the world to me. That's really sad. All right, now we have made me smile, and boy, do we need it. Uh, it's entitled, I hope he enjoyed the whole thing. My dog was declared cancer-free today, so I'm reverse searing him a steak. It looked like he had something on his head, poor little dog. I hope he enjoyed the whole thing too. Curious Strike says, enjoy your steak, buddy. Tack Turtle says, enjoy every steak and sandwich. Reverse. Somebody doesn't understand what reverse seer means. Somebody else doesn't understand what reverse seer means. Somebody called him Wanging Karma Farmer because it was back in 2019. And MCA says 2019 was just yesterday and 1990 was 10 years ago. True story. All right, that's all I have for today. I will be back tomorrow at noon. Have a good day. I love you all. Take care. I hope it didn't make you cry. Maybe I hope it didn't make you cry. It made me cry, so you need to cry with me. All right, bye, my biddies. Love you all. Bye. Bye bye. Love you.